yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes only.
Welcome back, family. Before the video starts, I just want to thank all my channel members for the support. Today we're looking at some crazy videos. You know what I'm saying? Like we always do. We always look at some crazy stuff. Starting off with this one, looks like a dolphin is kissing her stomach. I've always heard that dolphins, I've always heard that there's places in other countries where they have dolphin assisted births. So this might be what we're looking at right now.
Okay, this is one of the most shocking subjects I have ever stumbled upon. And you know, I've had some pretty out there posts. Did you know that dolphins are one of the only animals in the world that it is illegal to interact with outside of approved facilities like SeaWorld?
Yeah.
And did you know that there is an ancient practice known as dolphin-assisted births? So there was a Russian man. He was a male midwife, if you knew that's a thing. He was a mid-husband, and he would help women deliver babies in the ocean. And interestingly, he noted a phenomenon where dolphins would be attracted to pregnant women. They would swim up to them, and they would start going in circles around these pregnant women and doing their sonar thing out of their mouth at, like, directing it at the pregnant woman's stomach. Now, there's all kinds of ancient folklore about dolphins being advanced beings. They have more folds in their brain, which means this is not how you, like, basically you don't just tell someone's intelligence by the size of their brain. Otherwise, birds would be stupid, even though we know birds are very smart despite having a small brain. What else indicates the intelligence of an animal is the amount of folds in their brain. And each fold basically multiplies the amount of potential neural pathways and neural connections, and it can make them way smarter. Well, dolphins have a lot of folds in their brains. They may be way more intelligent than we even know. Now, here's where it's crazy. There used to be a dolphin-assisted birthing center in Hawaii where people flew from all over the world. This happened in the early 2000s up until about 2013 when something happened. And it's not what you think. And women would go and give birth with dolphins in the ocean. And they said to have painless births, faster births. And they tracked the children who were born from these mothers, and they exhibited abnormal capabilities mentally, enhanced mental function into their older age. Now, some people think it's something to do with the frequency that the dolphin is emitting at the unborn fetus, and then it comes out and it's maybe done something with DNA. Now, dolphin-assisted birth in Hawaii is a niche practice involving a pregnant person swimming, a pregnant woman, I think is the proper terminology, swimming with a pod of dolphins. They actually called it dolphin-assisted therapy, DAT. But it lacks credible scientific backing. And this is where it gets crazy. In 2013 and 2015, a bunch of smear campaigns came out against this practice. How effing silly is it to give birth in the water with dolphins? And New York Times roasting people who have ever thought of or even fathomed doing this because it's so dangerous. Meanwhile, we know that infant, well, let's just say it's statistically not very safe to give birth in a hospital if you look at the actual statistics of unfortunate things happening. And they went and shut down the birthing center. Even though people were freely, voluntarily going to it, that wasn't enough. It violated something, and you're not allowed to do it anymore. Now, this is an anomaly. I don't even know if this is allowed anymore. This picture was taken probably 7-8 years ago. But dolphin-assisted births. We're going to do a extreme deep dive into dolphins, the ancient stories about them, what they may be harboring in their minds that we can tap into if we calibrate our consciousnesses, and a whole lot more.
A lot of people claim that if you do get a dolphin-assisted birth, it can increase a positive genetic makeup for your child. Like, for example, they can have like a higher IQ. They might grow a little bit taller than they're supposed to be, might live a healthier life. But then there's the other side where a lot of people and scientists, and this is exactly why they wanted to shut it down in Hawaii, claim that it's actually the opposite. It's more dangerous because, for example, if you're getting a dolphin-assisted birth, it's usually underwater, and they claim that maybe the blood from giving childbirth can trigger a predatory response from the dolphins, risk of drowning because, you know what I'm saying, you're doing it pretty much underwater, or the baby's coming out underwater, so he might also drown, or she.
Chat, Dan Bilzerian tells Alex Jones that if he were president, he would declare war on Israel. Watch this.
Is
If you were
real?
the president, what would you do?
I would declare war on Israel.
Wow.
I would cut off, I mean, at a minimum, I would cut off all foreign aid. I would let Iran have free will to do what they want with Israel.
Wow.
I would kind of let the problem probably take care of itself, to be honest, because if we stop defending Israel, I think they would get what they deserve. They have been persecuting these Palestinians. They've been operating apartheid. They've attacked all their neighbors. I mean, they bombed 7 countries in a year. They continue to just have unprovoked aggression. I mean, they are a total terrorist nation. I just don't understand how they're not qualified as a terrorist nation. They have nukes. They acquired them illegally. They refused to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and they said that they would just kill everybody if they feel threatened. So, please tell me, Alex, how does that not make them the greatest terrorist threat to the world today?
A lot of presidents in the past before Trump has claimed that Israel has tried to get them into a war with Iran for the longest. And we can literally go back to like 2009, where Israel claimed that Iran is like 2 weeks off of creating a nuclear bomb that's going to wipe out America. Fast forward 12 years later, and they're still 2 weeks off of creating a nuclear bomb that can wipe out America. So you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like,
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
I went with this one guy, and he looked like a lizard. I was so scared. He was sitting there, and I turned him. I was like, oh my god! I was like, holy shit! He looks just like a lizard, and I had to go. It was really bad.
So you just left? Wow.
They want my nails back. I bet all my nails look like a fucking idiot. I want my nails back, and I guess I should just go get nails.
I'm telling you right now, that back there is not real.
could you guys imagine if the guy back there was actually real, and then some random lady on the plane is calling you a freaking reptilian? Oh my god, I'd be terrified, bro. I'd be like, damn, am I really that ugly?
Hillary Clinton was being asked about Frazzle Drip. That video came from a life insurance folder from Anthony Weiner's laptop. That video was said to make even the most hardened NYC police veterans cry.
What?
It's said to show Weiner's wife, Huma, and Hillary Clinton performing satanic ritual abuse on a young girl, surgically removing her face, wearing it as a mask to flood the victim's bloodstream with adrenaline. On a serious note, of the 12 officers who viewed the contents of the file labeled insurance on the laptop, 9 of them. And let's play the video of her being asked about Frazzle Drip.
The files that were on Anthony Weiner's laptop in a folder that was titled insurance, life insurance, with a zip file titled Frazzle.
This is way outside the scope. Ruling. This is way outside the scope. Is this within the scope, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman rules that it's not within the scope.
Mr. Chairman, based on what you said in the public hearing, is this within the scope?
You can go off the record for a moment.
Mr. Chairman, is this within the scope?
Go off the record.
Now, the lady you see next to Hillary, her attorney, Cheryl Mills, she is in the files, and she's close friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. This is Cheryl Mills to Ghislaine Maxwell. G, is today really your birthday? It's the birthday of one of my greatest friends, and it would not at all be surprising that you shared it. So happy birthday, darling. I'll have to do a bit of thinking. Hate you for being in Palm Beach. If it weren't for your birthday, I'll call you what you really are for being there. XO.
In July 1980, Cosmopolitan magazine featured Jeffrey Epstein as Bachelor of the Month.
Wow.
And wow, that's just insane in general. He was 27 years old at this time, meaning literally 3 years before, he was a high school math teacher. Okay? What did he have to do to climb the social hierarchy of American media to get to that position, or to even get that publicity? What was going on? Who did this? Who arranged this? I need to know. But also, this is the sex issue. They put it in the sex issue. There is a sex issue there. But anyways, this is my driver. How many girls were like, oh, I'm going to follow up on this, and it was actually just a freaking recruitment opportunity for him, right? Does no one see that as insane? Like Cosmo didn't know. Sure, girl.
Yeah, I mean, it's well known that Jeffrey Epstein was kind of given his wealth. Like, he didn't really earn it. Like, I'm pretty sure, I forgot the exact story, but I'm pretty sure someone somewhere like gave him some sort of wealth, and then he tried to expand it, and he did expand it and became like a billionaire, and then he joined the Illuminati. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein is the Illuminati. How I actually block facial recognition.
Most people think that this right here is enough to block facial recognition. But when you go into security camera environments like this, into the mass surveillance environment, they're actually using IR light to identify you, not visible light. Because of that, many people think that a mask like this and normal sunglasses like these, which are polarized and high dollar, are going to block them from facial recognition, but they're entirely wrong. You see, the National Institute of Standards and Technology proved that the top 50% of facial recognition algorithms can identify you by 92% accuracy with just your eyes. And when I wear these normal sunglasses, my eyes are fully visible, meaning that facial recognition can still figure out who I am. Instead of covering your face, especially the lower part of your face, which we know by 2020, algorithms have moved upwards. They're prioritizing the eyes instead of the lower jaw and the mouth. Instead of doing this, what you need is a simple solution that's going to cover the majority of the touch points on your face where facial recognition is actually targeting. Yeah. Facial recognition is actually targeting the eyes. It's actually targeting the nose bridge. And it's trying to figure out the geometry of this area where you have tons of data points that it can use under IR reflectivity to figure out who you are. With Vader sunglasses, we eliminate that IR reflectivity. We eliminate the contrast. We eliminate the shape. We eliminate the pattern. And by messing all of this up, the new facial recognition algorithm cannot compare your current measurements to a past measurement of you in their database. If you want to block facial recognition, you don't need to think about your current sunglass solution. You don't need to think about just masks. You don't need to think about just wearing a hat. What you need is something to effectively block and distort the geometry of your face, which is what we have done here with Vader sunglasses. These look like normal sunglasses like everything else, but under these security camera conditions, they're going to perform 100 times better. And guess what? They go very well with the mask, and they go very well with the hat to give you a complete privacy solution. In most of my everyday scenarios, I wouldn't wear a mask like this, but I would wear Vader's, and I would wear a hat with it, and then I'm covering the majority of my face to give myself the privacy I deserve.
Somehow you'd buy those sunglasses, and they still would be able to find you. Yeah, there's still a lot of technology that the government has that we just don't know about.
What's going to happen here? Here's what I'm saying. I know how these people operate. It was Netanyahu in charge of 9/11, clearly. They're going to false flag our ass. The way they say, oh, nukes are going to go off. I think they're going to set a nuke off in New York or Chicago and literally say that, or Austin, Texas. I mean, if I was them, and I don't think like them, my vision isn't theirs, but I can get in their heads. I think they've already got a nuke probably inside the U.S. Nick. Or they'll hit Israel. Maybe they blow up an Israeli city or something. I'm serious.
I mean, I hope that's not the case, but you can never rule it out because that is exactly how they operate. That's how they've operated what Mossad's motto is, Israeli intelligence, their motto is by way of deception.
We had an airplane that could go twice the speed of sound, faster than a literal bullet, and could get from New York to London in about 3 hours, and we lost it. The Concorde was developed in the 1960s, but its real heyday was in 1976 to 2003 when the program ended. It was a supersonic airplane that flew incredibly high, incredibly fast, and could get you places in the world sooner than you left. Let me explain. The Concorde airplane had 4 special jet engines. They were special for several reasons. One is that they actually could use an afterburner, like a military airplane, to take off and to break through the sound barrier. And they also had a special kind of fairing in the front that could alter the air intake because at super high speed, super high elevation, so much air would wreck a normal jet engine. So they had special features. They were incredibly efficient once they reached altitude. On takeoff, they were incredibly inefficient. They burned through fuel like nothing. But these 4 super powerful engines were designed to get the plane up and then to cruise at faster than sound and to be incredibly efficient at that altitude. Speaking of altitude, the Concorde flew at about 60,000 feet. I was lucky enough as a kid to ride one of the last ones. And when you looked out the window, you saw this. You could see the curvature of the Earth. You could look up and see the blackness of space. I remember that distinctly, seeing that. It's fascinating. You're so high up, higher than just about any other airplane. Only like military spy planes really go this high. At that height, any kind of a pressure leak would be devastating, as you can imagine. So the windows were very small and very thick. They were different from regular airplane windows. The interior basically looked like a regular airplane interior, a little bit more compact and the fuselage was smaller. But it looked like this. It had seats and everything. It had, food service, all that kind of stuff. There was a sign in the front that showed you how fast you were going. And once you hit the speed of sound, it said Mach 1.0, Mach 1.1. It went all the way up to Mach 2.0, or sometimes even a little higher. So faster than the speed of sound. The tires were under so much pressure and had so much force and speed on them and takeoff and landing that if one of them exploded, it would be devastating.
What?
Like a bomb going off. A sonic boom is created when an airplane goes faster than sound, and basically, it's pushing sound and air forward. It creates so much pressure, then breaks through it, creates a super loud boom that you can rattle windows in cities. So Concorde tried to do mostly over the ocean, that part of it. Because of its design, you see it's like a giant wing, and the nose had to be super long and pointed for aerodynamics. And so the pilots on takeoff and landing couldn't see over the nose, and so the nose actually would move downward like a beak so the pilots could see. Then when they got in the air, it would go back up to the normal position. Really fascinating. At Mach 2, the friction of the air, even though the air is much thinner, less dense, really high, which helped with fuel efficiency and helped it to go fast, still the friction could make the skin of the aircraft get up to even like 300 degrees Fahrenheit or like 150 C. And so it was designed to expand. It had gaps where it would expand at a certain height so that the heat wouldn't twist it or wreck it. It was actually so hot and the engines were so powerful that when it was cruising, the engines would glow red with friction from the heat of the air, and they were designed to handle that. In fact, the expansion of the plane due to the heat, it could expand, it could lengthen up to 10 inches, almost a foot in flight. You could time travel on the Concorde. It got so fast that depending on which direction it was going compared to the Earth's rotation, you could arrive actually in your destination earlier than you left the departure city. Earlier. So you're actually like gaining hours. Isn't that amazing? When I flew on it, like I said, I was a little kid, but I remember we went from New York to London in about 3 hours or so.
Wow.
It's like a short plane ride, to get across the ocean. Imagine how much we could do, or how far we could go, or how quickly we could get around the world if we had this kind of technology still today. I guess we have the technology, but we don't have the program. What happened to the Concorde program? Why did it end in 2003? There were a couple of reasons why the program ended. First of all, it was incredibly expensive.
Yep.
The fuel, like I said, it burned up so much fuel. Fuel prices were high that it really, the airlines running it, really the governments running it, France and England, were losing money. So it was more like a government service or an experiment. It was incredibly expensive, not only the fuel, but the service, the maintenance, the specialization of the pilots. But what really ended the program in people's minds is a crash.
Wow.
Only one Concorde ever crashed and just killed the people on board. Only one. It was incredibly safe. But what happened was an Air France flight crashed right after takeoff. A piece of metal was on the runway from another airplane. Just a piece of, something falling off. It hit the tire.
Wow.
Tire exploded. That set the fuel on fire, and that caused the aircraft to burn. Unfortunately, everyone on board died, and some people on the ground died.
Damn.
So that eroded confidence in the public's eye, even though it was an incredibly safe way of travel.
Either.
I want to bring back supersonic flight. We've improved so much in technology, even since 2003, that we could do this again. It's just going to require a lot of investment money, and I guess, depending on where you live, figuring out a way to make it profitable. Imagine if you could go from New York to London in 3 hours. Would you do it? Would you be scared to be up that high? It's quite thrilling, quite scary, but actually quite safe and super fast. Let me know what you think about the Concorde program in the comments.
He said, would you be scared to be up that high, bro? If you fall out of the sky from 30,000 feet, even 10,000 feet, or 60,000 feet, it's the same outcome. But I truly think they should bring that plane back, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it wouldn't really be sustainable because it's super expensive, and plus, gas prices nowadays are through the roof. Oil prices are through the roof. So I feel like a minimum ticket from like, let's say NY, New York to London would probably would definitely be like around a minimum of $800. You know what I'm saying?
Booking a seat on the famed jet requires deep pockets. The return fare to New York costs more than $9,000.
Many people have stated that while watching the footage of Mackenzie Shirilla's arrest, they heard the voice of the victim, Davion. The footage shows Shirilla being placed in a police car months after a fatal car crash at a time when she had fully recovered. As officers secured her seatbelt, an unusual sound emerged from the background. On closer listening, it appeared to say, "She killed us."
Wow.
One of the arresting officers even reacted aloud, asking, "What's that?" The eerie moment left many viewers unsettled, sparking speculation that the voice belonged to Davion, the crash victim. Curious onlookers contacted a medium to try to communicate with Davion. According to the medium, Davion confirmed speaking those words from the car and expressed deep sadness, indicating he wanted Shirilla to face consequences for her actions. Not everyone believes the incident is genuine. Skeptics argue the audio may have been manipulated or misinterpreted. Despite the debate, the footage has stirred intense online discussion, blending true crime fascination with supernatural intrigue. So, do you believe that was Davion's voice or something else?
At the end of the day, we all know life isn't fair. Like, life isn't this fair place where, like, you know what I'm saying? If something happens to you, then it's going to happen to the next person. You know what I'm saying? Life isn't fair. But my main thing is, like, why did she initiate the crash and came out with no lifelong injuries? Everyone else died. She was found under the steering column, but she didn't suffer no lifelong injury. She didn't even, like, you know what I'm saying? She was injured for like a little bit and then she was good. That's incredible. Like, you just killed people, but you're good.
A Delta A330 had an engine failure while departing Sao Paulo last night, and molten debris falling from the aircraft caused a brush fire at the airport. A passenger on board caught the entire incident on camera. At first we see just a small puff of fire, which isn't all that uncommon with things like compressor stalls, but then it gets a little more intense. A massive ball of fire with tons of sparks, and the passengers are audibly terrified. Some of this debris fell and caused a small brush fire at the airport, but in the end, the plane was only in the air for roughly 10 minutes before circling back and making an emergency landing.
Same thing with the other video that we looked at in my last video where the dude got hit by a plane engine and it came back and stopped completely safe. Same thing, like the engine literally basically almost blew up mid-air. The plane did a 10-minute go around and landed safely. Proof that nowadays aviation is actually a lot safer than we think.
Would be shocked if this video doesn't get removed from this platform, so you should watch this now and download it while you still can, because I kid you not, this sounds like a horror movie.
Implant aborted baby parts into lab animals. Have you heard of that sort of research?
Yeah, we did an analysis a few years ago showing that over 90% of experiments with using human fetal tissue and putting them involved animals were funded by Fauci's NIAID.
Do you know where they're getting the aborted human fetal tissue?
A lot of it is happening at colleges and universities that have affiliated hospitals that perform that procedure.
Madam Chair, I think we need to look into that as well.
So guys, this video is for entertainment purposes only, right? But I want to make clear, she is basically saying they are using the parts from new souls. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying here. She's saying they're using them and combining them with other animals. Now look, I don't care what side you're on. If you don't even think this should be investigated, even if this is just a rumor, if you don't think that rumor should be investigated, what is wrong with you? I'll take this with a grain of salt because this is just some random person on X, but still, they say they are playing God. Humanity is not prepared for the level at which this is being done to come out. This is me interjecting here. I have been saying this exact thing that they are saying. I'm going to say 99.9% of people are not prepared for all of the things that are being hidden from us right now. And that is exactly why they're being hidden, because we would freak out. Those USOs under the sea are related to this. Anyway, they continue to say, my family knows someone ex-military who had to end a creature that was created in a lab and merged with AI. Nope. If this is true, this is a true horror story. But we are not in control. Humanity is not in control of the gov around the world. And I need you guys to remember this when we see things like USA. This is not humanity making these decisions. This is humanity following orders. And who are they following orders from? They are following orders from the most ancient quote-unquote gods, the Anunnaki, the alien race. This alien race is who the free people who build things follow. That is their quote-unquote God. All of those people have sold their soul to those beings, and they at least believe that they have no shot at going to heaven. We are talking about the very successful ones, not the average person who thinks they do good things. And these people were traumatized into this from birth. You need to wake up so the world can heal. Because we need you. You are not too stupid to understand what's going on. You are incredibly smart.
I love jokes. I think jokes are fun. But my favorite joke of all time is that Robert Maxwell literally stole all of our nuclear secrets and then sold them to Israel. And instead of going to prison for this, for treason maybe, he decided to just buy up all of the American institutions that most heavily affect the human psyche, such as giant media conglomerates and the education system. So let's see, where did he start? He partnered with McGraw-Hill, and then coincidentally all 50 states decided to use this publishing company as their standardized textbooks. And then his daughter just happened to be, you know, Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice and recruiter in child trafficking. And then when we notice that these things are harmful, we're actually the offensive ones. It's like, what is going on? Because he created the education system around that. So everyone will team up against you because that's wrong, and you don't want history to repeat itself, you know? So I just feel like that's a really funny joke, right? Did you laugh? Anyways, this is my driver. Yeah. Haha. I'm laughing on the inside, like a winner.
And if anyone else finds this super strange, right? This is the construction of the first ever tower on the Twin Towers back in 1968. You see, like it says here, the construction of the first Twin Towers, the North Tower 1 WTC, began in August 1968. And you know, as we all are pretty aware, aren't we, the Twin Towers that started construction in 1968, they were famously blown up in a worldwide catastrophe well known as 9/11. This is what really freaks me out, that the first ever 9/11 call was placed from the mayor's office in Hollyville, America on February the 16th, 1968. The exact same year that they started the construction of the Twin Towers that blew up on 9/11. And it just so happens to be 33 years between 1968 and 2001. You know, just like the 33rd degree Masonic secret society that potentially rules the world. But hey, you know, this was all just for entertainment. Clearly there is no relevance between the first start of the construction of the 9/11 in 1968 and the first ever 9/11 call coming from the year 1968. Like I said, these are all just coincidences, and I'm as fictional as a dinosaur, baby.
Okay, so we all saw the movie Signs, right? Where the aliens land in the cornfield and they leave a crop circle and they're wondering what the Sam Dam's going on. Did you know this is a uncontested, non-debunked video of a crop circle being formed in real time, filmed on top of that hill you just saw, which to this day has not been disproven, and it was filmed before you could CGI stuff. And it was brought to the police station as evidence immediately after it was recorded. Therefore, there couldn't have been any type of altering after the recording. Like, there wasn't the technology back then to go in and change things around that quickly. So this is the most undisputed instance of crop circles to this day. Now, there is fake crop circles out there, but this one's real. Check this out.
From this height, Oliver's Castle, one of the most often debated observations, was made early one morning in 1996. A young man who had spent the night here and had brought a video camera with him was woken during early dawn by a humming sound. Here I'm standing at Oliver's Castle at precisely the same spot as John Whaley was standing in August 1996, when he supposedly, for the first time in history, managed to film the creation of a crop circle.
It's an energy thing, man. It's not a UFO landing.
That the crop circle was not here on the previous day but had appeared on the following morning was a fact. That John Whaley was here at dawn could be confirmed by a military patrol that happened to be jogging by at the time. John went to the local pub later that same day and showed his film to the people there. Even so, many believe that he had managed to manipulate the film with computer animation in the meantime, something that computer animation experts doubt. To overlay a perfect animation over a handheld, unstable film would need several days of work using the computer equipment of that time. Even today, the film is still a great mystery, and John has gone underground due to the intense interest that his film created.
Now, the craziest part about crop circles they found is that if you take a crop circle, many of them, and you put them from 2D into 3D, that it's actually like a blueprint of either Fibonacci sequences or magnetic devices that generate basically free energy. And this was covered extensively in the movie Thrive, or the documentary Thrive. Now, we're going to do a deep dive on this on my Rumble channel. If you want to tune in, comment the word Rumble below or check the link in my bio.
You pretty much answered the question that I was trying to figure out. I'm like, what's the point of drawing these patterns in the cornfields? You know what I'm saying? What's the point of drawing these patterns in the ground? But he basically just said that it's just like a free energy source for them.
My friends thought I was crazy for saying that Hollywood is filled of vampires, but this video is real.
I guess drank each other's blood might mislead people, or like people are imagining us with like goblets and we're like Game of Thrones drinking each other's blood. It's just a few drops, but yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes.
What the?
Only. It is used for a reason, and it is controlled where it's like, let's shed a few drops of blood and each drink it.
Girl, what do you mean for ritualistic purposes? That's not holy. That's also not natural. Let's not normalize that. Anyways, this is my driver, and maybe she's just method acting from Jennifer's body 10 years ago. I don't know. Something's weird.
Honestly, I wouldn't even doubt that. There's literally a video of Ellen claiming that they use baby foreskin blood to make their skin look younger. Isn't that crazy? It was either Ellen, Oprah, or Wendy. I don't remember. It was one of them. I don't keep up with all that shit, so I wouldn't know, chat. But you know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy? They use circumcised baby blood to make themselves look better. Like, it's crazy.
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away. And they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby. Who's heard Alex Jones talk about some chemical that makes the frogs gay? Raise your hand. Turns out he wasn't wrong. When frogs were exposed to atrazine, some were chemically castrated and feminized. Genetic males developed female reproductive organs, and some even produced viable eggs. What is less known is this. Human exposure to atrazine in the womb is linked to genital malformations in men.
Wow.
Like when the pee hole isn't in the right place on the pee, and it even could be contributing to shrinking penis sizes. I am talking about micro becoming increasingly common. Despite this, atrazine, the micro chemical, is present in the drinking water of 40 million
I've been saying this, chat.
Europe banned it, we didn't. Talk about a war on masculinity.
Chat, I've been saying this for the longest. I've been telling everybody. The water is making us gay. That sounds crazy. I've been saying it for the longest. I've been telling everyone these microplastics, all these microscopic garbage that they're putting in the water is why we see this increase of like autism, dysfunctions, and you know what I'm saying, transgenders, gay, and all that.
If you take a ping pong ball and slice it in half, and then take both ping pong balls and put them over your eyeballs, lay on your back and then listen to static or white noise through your headphones, it will cause you to hallucinate so violently that some psychologists consider it a delirium. It only takes about 3 minutes for this to happen, and it's the most powerful way a human can hallucinate without foreign substances, at least while you're awake. It's called the Gansfield effect, and the reason why these hallucinations feel so real is because they are real. You are perceiving them in the same way that you would be perceiving looking out a window. The Gansfield effect happens because our brains have never evolved to have absolutely zero stimuli. And with both ping pongs over your eyes and your ears listening to the same noise, our brains just don't know what to do. It makes a person's brain completely freak out and start filling the gaps with things that aren't even there. This causes audio illusions, visual illusions, and out-of-body experiences. We discovered this back in the 30s, and millions of people report the same phenomenon every single time. And all it takes is ping pong balls over the eyes and a comfy pair of headphones.
Racist streamer goes to jail. Oh my god, bro. I've heard so much about this dude. His name is Chud the Builder. He's like the master rage baiter. Basically, he goes around specifically to black people, call them N-word hard R. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, a lot of black people, if you just come up to them and call them N-word hard R, they're gonna like be upset about it. They're gonna be pretty mad about it. And a lot of them rightfully get mad. And then what he does, he threatens to shoot him. Like, imagine going up to someone, right? Like, I go up to you, depending on the type of person you are. Let's say you're a girl, and I come up to you and I'm like, you fucking stupid. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be rightfully like, who the hell is this dude? Like you're gonna be kind of upset. Like, you might walk away, you might resist, you might say something. If you're a dude, of, I don't know, of like a different nationality, and I come to you like, you stupid, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be upset about it. So he does that to pretty much black people. And they rightfully get mad. A lot of people retaliate by trying to fight him, and then he retaliates by trying to shoot him. And that's pretty much what he did to his recent victim, allowing him to go to jail. Let's just check out the video. He'll explain it better.
Meet Chud. He's what you call a race baiter. Basically what he does is he films himself on stream walking up to people saying racist things. But see, one day he took things a little too far, ended up being a black man outside of a courthouse and is now facing 50 years in prison. Now I know what you're thinking. Zevi, what happened? Well, we finna get to that. First things first, why was he outside of a courthouse in the first place? Well, you see, before the incident we're talking about where by the way, the guy he is still alive. Before that incident, he was arrested for walking out on a $400 bill. Now, this part's important because it's going to basically explain who Chud the Builder is. Okay, so he's sitting there at a restaurant. He's filming himself. He's streaming himself. The manager walks up and says, hey, we don't allow filming in here. Chud starts wilding out. He starts losing it. He starts saying racist things out of nowhere to some dude just standing there. Dude catches it straight. He goes, damn. The manager says, oh no, now you really got to go. Like, you really tripping. Chud starts turning up some more. He entitled. He losing it. He said, man, I want to film. I want to say racist things and I want to eat. That's what I want to do. So let me do it. He's saying this as he's walking out. The manager said, oh, you forgot to pay your bill, Chud. Chud said, pay my bill? You kicking me out, so I'm not paying nothing. The manager said, all right, let me just call the police. They're going to meet you.
All on camera, by the way.
Said, well, this is America, so I'm leaving. Chud leaves. The police say, put your hands behind your back. Chud said, huh? They said, yeah, you walked out on your bill, right? He said, yeah, but they technically kicked me out. I got everything on camera. They said, did you eat the food? He said, but yeah. They said, okay, but put your hands behind your back. And the worst part about all this for Chud is he actually does film everything thinking he's in the right.
You see, the worst part about people like this is like he literally just said, they film it and think they're in the right. Like, dude, you literally film yourself doing a crime. You film yourself being racist to a lot of people in public. You film yourself harassing people in public and then think it's okay. And then think the world is fine with this. Is America, free country. I could do what I want. It's okay.
Meanwhile, whole time he's just making himself guilty. Now, him filming everything is going to be relevant later, but during this whole restaurant thing, the manager was actually mad polite. He's like, yo, man, we just don't allow filming. Chud was the one wilding out. So if a judge sees, it's probably going to be the easiest case of that judge's life. In fact, like I said earlier, Chud already went to court for this. The judge probably looked at the facts of the case. He said, wow, this is the easiest case of my life. Now, technically, Chud was just charged for this. He's going to have to go in and out of court, but he's probably going to be found guilty for this pretty easily. Now, Chud walking out of the courthouse. Somebody, according to Chud, is laughing at him. So Chud, now this is according to Chud, all right, that's very important, walks over to the people laughing at him and he says, y'all like my new suit? And he walks away. All right. He then says the people he walked away from start following him. The guy then says, hey, look, man, I'm a veteran and I have PTSD, and starts attacking Chud. Chud has no choice but to defend himself. So he pulls out his and starts letting them things go. He hits himself too. Police rush to the scene. They say, yo, what happened? Chud tells them everything that I just told you. And he's filming everything that he's saying too. That's important because you see, Chud thinks he's slick, but he's not as smart as he thinks he is. And here's where things start to get wicked. They arrest Chud. They said, whoa, you let them things go, Chud. We got to put you in custody. Chud said, well, I'm an American and I was defending myself, right? They said, well, Chud, why don't you go talk to your lawyer and you explain to him what you explained to us? Chud goes over to his lawyer. He said, look, I told him the story about, lawyer probably said, shut up, Chud, you stupid. Because the thing is, now Chud's lawyer has to go based off what Chud said himself on camera to police. And Chud don't know the law. You see, here are two simple rules to self-defense. First things first, you gotta put out an equal amount of force somebody is pushing on you. So like, if somebody slaps you, you can't just pull out your thing and...
That's true.
And two, you can't be the antagonizer. That's when a lot of people mess up. So if you walk over to somebody and push them, if they hit you and you pull out your thing and you're going to jail. Now, I'm not saying these two things happen in Chud's situation, but I'm trying to explain to you how difficult Chud's situation is actually going to be. And you'll see what I mean in a second. You see, Chud clearly doesn't understand these rules. You could see it all over his live stream. He walks over to people antagonizing them, calling them the N-word, saying, hey, I can say whatever I want. In one instance, a guy knocks over Chud's hat, the hat that he always wears. Chud rushes over to the dude and says, put your hands on me again. And remember, he's filming all this. Chud loves to film himself doing things. Now, you see, Chud is the aggressor in this situation. So whatever argument of self-defense immediately goes out the window. Chud doesn't understand this. So Chud brings out his mace and he starts spraying the dude saying, I'm defending myself. So Chud's lawyer is probably losing his mind right now in court because what does the prosecutor have to say based off of Chud's story? Prosecutor can be like, well, can we really believe what Chud said? The guy Chud was black. We've seen all of Chud's content. Here's an example of all of Chud's content. Here's an example of Chud spraying mace on a black man. We should probably give him jail time for that, but you know what? I digress. Chud is always the aggressor in all of his videos, so can we really believe Chud walked over to a black person laughing at him and just said, you like my suit, and walked away? That doesn't sound like the Chud we've seen in all of his video content. And remember, Chud, you said out your own mouth, you walked over to the dude. Chud's lawyer probably gonna be like, well, that's what we saying happened. So we saying Chud walked over, he said, you like my suit, and he walked away. So prosecutor gonna be like, why would somebody walk over to you, Chud, and say, I'm a veteran and I have PTSD as a response to you like my suit? That don't sound like a typical response. Did you say something else to him? He'd be like, he gonna probably sit there stuttering. And remember, the dude that Chud is gonna have his own story. So it just depends on who a jury is gonna believe. We're not even at the part with an equal amount of force distributed. The dude didn't have the judge at that point had heard enough. She said, okay, Chud, your bail is set to $1.25 million. And you gotta see Chud's reaction when he says this.
1.25 million.
Like, ooh, you know that number hit. Side note, look how bro looking at him. I think that's hilarious. But I digress. The judge setting the bail that high for Chud is basically a message to Chud and the world. You can't just walk up in my courtroom and say, this is America. Like, you finna sit in jail. But we'll wait and see what happens in his actual trial, which I'm probably not gonna cover because I tire of this man.
Yeah, Chad, me personally, I despise that dude. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't really don't like people. I'm pretty easygoing. But that guy, I freaking hate him. You know what I'm saying? It's just a situation where like he just goes around harassing people and then feel like he has the authority because he harassed people. Like, don't put your hands on me, I'll shoot you or mace you. I'm like, bro, you literally are the aggressor. You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense. Me personally, I would have to slap the dude and probably get shot. I mean, yeah, I've heard too that apparently this I don't know, like this racist crypto company or something is like gonna pay for his bail, so he should be out of prison in like a couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard and seen online. And you know what I'm saying, there's obviously restrictions. He's gonna be on house arrest and parole and all types of like, I'm just hoping he gets time in prison. You know what I'm saying? He gets like at least 15 years or something. The best outcome is he gets life in prison, because I feel like people like that are genuinely just menace to society, provoking people, get a response, and then threaten to kill them after provoking them. I personally think that person shouldn't be out on the road, you know what I'm saying? Shouldn't be out on the streets. So I don't think he should come out into the reality anymore. I think he should just get life in prison. But that's probably not gonna happen because he didn't kill the dude that he shot. He's probably gonna get like a 15-20 year sentence, But I'm just hoping that he gets life. Like, I'm praying, because if you could just go up to someone and then just provoke them and then get mad at them for responding the way they do after you provoke them, I don't think you should be on the streets, bro.
Matrix was filmed in 1998 and came out a year later, and somehow the main character's passport, Neo, expires on September 11th, 2001.
Wow.
And
coincidence?
Upon learning that, I feel like it's a good time to remind everyone that Iran didn't say they were going to bomb California. That was the FBI.
That's crazy.
I feel like that's important info. Anyways, this is my driver, and I feel like this page is really just PSAs at this point. I don't even know. Agent Smith is a lot of people, apparently.
Real life is damn near like the Matrix at this point. It's like we're almost in a simulated reality. Was Michael Jackson's death murder?
With the Michael movie out, I think it's time to deep dive into Michael Jackson's death, because when he died, his toxicology report read like a pharmacy inventory. Lorazepam, midazolam, diazepam. 3 benzodiazepines, which is a class of drugs used to treat insomnia, anxiety, sometimes seizures. And then the one that changed everything, propofol. Until June 2009, most people outside of medicine had never even heard of propofol, because you're not supposed to see it unless you're in a hospital. Michael had a code name for it. He called it his milk because of the way it looked. If you've ever had general anesthesia, there is a high chance that propofol was part of the cocktail that they give you to put you under. Its specific job is to rapidly and reliably make you unconscious in a matter of seconds. And it works remarkably well in the right setting. Now, Michael Jackson also had lidocaine in his system because propofol is an irritant to the veins. It causes this burning, aching, even paining sensation when it's injected into the veins. So typically lidocaine is given first to take the edge off. When I had surgery, they did not give me lidocaine, and I felt the propofol. It is very unpleasant, and completely understand why they give lidocaine first. But here's where everything starts to break down. Towards the end of Michael's life, he was having a lot of trouble sleeping. He was desperate to sleep, and you can see by the medication list and the toxicology report, he was given the benzos first to see if that would help put him to sleep. That clearly didn't work, and then he was given the propofol. The only problem with that is that propofol is not a sleep aid like the benzodiazepines are. It doesn't give you natural restorative sleep. It's more akin to medically induced coma than natural sleep. More critically, propofol suppresses breathing and lowers blood pressure. Dr. Linda Aglio, a professor of anesthesiology at Harvard, put it plain and simple. Quote, "I won't leave a patient unattended while under propofol for a second." And that's because it requires constant monitoring to make sure the patient is breathing and their heart is functioning. And this is where we get to the doctor. Dr. Conrad Murray left Michael Jackson alone after administering the propofol. Murray was a cardiologist, not an anesthesiologist. I still don't honestly know how he was able to order so much propofol to the house. I think there was some 200 vials at some point that he ordered to Michael Jackson's home. But not only did Murray administer a medication he is not authorized to use in an unauthorized setting, he left Michael alone afterwards.
Wow.
Murray had none of the standard equipment present that would have alerted him that something was wrong. And based on testimony during his trial, this wasn't a one-off lapse. He administered propofol in this manner to Michael Jackson every night for nearly 2 months. The worst part is that this was entirely preventable. If Murray had simply stayed in the room, noticed that Jackson had stopped breathing, and either tilted his chin to open an airway or used a basic bag mask to ventilate his lungs, Michael Jackson would have likely survived. For this next part, I'm not drawing conclusions, just presenting some facts and observations. But by 2009, Murray reportedly fathered 7 children by 6 different women and had accumulated substantial debt across child support, mortgages, and medical loans. So it was this huge stroke of luck for him to have crossed paths with Michael Jackson, who was willing to pay him $150,000 a month to be his personal physician. And it's no secret that towards the end of Michael's life that he surrounded himself more and more with yes people. And Murray was one of them, saying yes to whatever he wanted, even if it was potentially medically dangerous. The result of all those yeses was a death that had no business happening in the first place. If you like science worth sharing like this, then follow us everywhere at Today Learn Science, at TIL Science.
Yeah, it was definitely obvious that the reason why he even became Michael Jackson's perfect doctor was for the $150K a month. So whatever Michael Jackson said he wanted, that boy immediately gave him, even if it wasn't good for him. My biggest concern is, why was it so hard for Michael Jackson to fall asleep? I wonder if it was like all the stress from tour and all the people coming out against him and all the debt set he was in maybe stressed him out so much that he just couldn't fall asleep.
Holy f***, chat, Facebook was a Pentagon program called LifeLog? Watch this.
The whole Facebook movie is a giant lie. It's a propaganda piece. That was a Pentagon program called LifeLog. LifeLog is a Pentagon program that wants to collect all your data for your whole life. What day did the government stop the LifeLog project?
Whoa. DARPA shut down the LifeLog project February 4th, 2004.
What day was Facebook registered as a business?
Oh my God. No way, bro.
The exact same day. They don't even hide it, dude.
It was created by DARPA.
Yeah, they handed it to Mark Zuckerberg. And then the Vossel twins.
What about the other? Yeah.
That's all. And that's why they became the first Bitcoin millionaires, because they played ball. Oh my God. It's all theater, dude.
So what is the purpose of LifeLog?
To collect all your data for your whole entire life.
Breaking news, there is no water in the Rio Grande. And this guy's saying that it's completely dry and nearby AI data centers are consuming massive amounts of water to keep their systems cool, of course. So my question is this. Now, I thought we're getting low-flow toilets, not watering our lawns as much, eating Beyond Meat burgers to save water and fuel consumption and everything. But data centers which use a bajillion gallons of fricking water and a bajillion watts of electricity are just green light, let's make them. Now, of course, the excuse is that we have to beat China in the AI race. Oh, we have to beat China making a dystopian, technocratic AI control grid because they're doing it faster than us. We have to catch up with them. Is anyone paying attention, man? What the Sam Damn's going on? Now, look, it's pretty clear that there's a shocking situation and agenda coming around the corner where they definitely want us in a lowered state of consciousness to be able to get to that. I'm talking Agenda 2030, and I'm talking fluoride and heavy metals raining down on us and all the crazy chemicals in the food, air, and water supply. They want us in a lowered state of consciousness. If you think it's important to be detoxing, right now, Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of organic.
If the world's richest billionaires suddenly try to flee the country all at once, an elite tracking system will now trigger an apocalypse alarm. An American programmer has officially launched the Apocalypse Early Warning System. The concept is simple. It monitors the exact flight data of over 11,000 private jets owned by the world's elite. The system filters out normal air traffic to isolate the specific transponders of tech moguls and politicians. If the tracker detects a sudden, massive swarm of billionaire jets all taking off at the exact same time, the alarm jumps to level 5, which is called duck and cover. We already know elites are obsessed with apocalypse insurance. Mark Zuckerberg has a fortified compound with a massive underground bunker in Hawaii, and OpenAI executives have literally admitted they plan to build bunkers before unleashing advanced AI. Unsurprisingly, billionaires are biting back. Elon Musk famously banned flight trackers on X, and the US Congress is currently reviewing a privacy act to hide private jet broadcast data from the public. If the billionaires lose their privacy, we get a front row seat to their escape route. If the alarm goes off, where are you heading? Let us know in the comments.
So billionaires can have their privacy, but the normal public can't. You know what I'm saying? They track us every single day from our phones, from facial recognition software. But when billionaires want to go in their little private jets to Epstein Island, oh, now you can't track it. Oh, wow.
Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Rihanna would be the richest music artists in history if it wasn't for the sole exception of Michael Jackson, of course. Taylor Swift is the most abused artist by the record label in pop history. That is for the sole exception of Michael Jackson, of course. Justin Bieber is the most stalked musician ever. That is for the sole exception of Michael Jackson, of course. The Crip Walk is the most recognizable dance ever. That is for the sole exception of Michael Jackson's moonwalk, of course.
Yeah, it's widely known that Michael Jackson was probably one of the most talked about, one of the most stalked, one of the most gossiped celebrities of all time. He's a definition of why a lot of people say they don't want to be famous.
Ron just dropped a video entitled One Vengeance for All. You got to take a look at this.
Epstein Island, no! Tell me y'all saw that. The kid on Epstein Island, that was funny. Funny, Iran. Shit's disgusting, bro. Not New York City, no! I'm about to get on my hands and knees and beg Iran not to nuke or drop bombs on New York City. Although their missiles can't reach the United States, but if somehow they get like a sleeper cell in the city, don't bomb the city, bro.
Rockstar hackers, they really just leaked some shit about GTA. It's official. They did it. But the problem is, what Rockstar already said is nothing important. These hackers just leaked 8 gigabytes of stuff about the finance in the game, about how much GTA was making, about how much people was spending on the game. Like, what? Y'all did all this. Y'all wanted 200,000. Y'all leaked it a day earlier, and y'all thought Rockstar was gonna care. They also leaked the fact that the shark card, the card that's on the game, made almost 500 million a year. So all this shit is just irrelevant. All they did was just show that GTA 5 is still printing money till this day. That's why Rockstar said, I don't care. Y'all don't have nothing on us. Leak it. Do it. Hackers was like, no, we got more than that. If you don't send us the money, we're gonna drop it a day earlier. Rockstar kicked their feedback and was like, do it, nigga. So as of right now, the release date is still gonna be the same date.
Rockstar has to be one of the most threatened company that's not like a government agency, you know what I'm saying? It's like a gaming company. They create games like Red Dead, GTA, and all that stuff. And they gotta be the most like threatened and hacked company because everyone is so infatuated with like the GTA series. Fun fact about GTA actually, it was supposed to be released a couple of days ago, it was supposed to be released May 26th of 2026, but they delayed it, obviously. They're probably going to delay it again. It's supposed to drop in November, but definitely going to delay it till probably 2027. And then delay it again after that to 2028. So we're never going to get GTA 6, chat.
This was Erica Kirk 3 days after her husband got murdered on a Turning Point USA conference call.
We're at like over 200,000 for merch sales. Don't quote me on that because I think it just keeps like bumping up like crazy. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the events team, the development team.
Yeah, my husband just got murdered, but like shout out to everyone that sold merch. What, bro? Like, come on.
She locked in.
And if you can't see that, you're blind. That's not how a grieving widow acts. Mind you, in full glam, eyebrows snatched, wing eyeliner snatched. If my husband just died, I'm looking a mess.
Don't forget the WWE entrance musics.
I got tears everywhere. I'm not wearing makeup, right? Like, I digress.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time, chat. I've talked about this multiple times. Erica Kirk has like videos of talking about like how everyone's against her and all this. And the fact of the matter is, when Charlie Kirk first died, no one was against Erica Kirk. Everyone felt super bad for her. I remember when he first died, there were so many posts on Instagram talking about how they feel bad for Erica and the kids. They're praying for them. And then pretty much 2 weeks to a month later, she comes out with this whole shebang. Like,
please welcome Turning Point USA CEO and Chair, Erica Kirk.
like, you know, you could just tell when someone's being authentic, when someone's like genuinely hurt or someone's like acting. We can usually tell. Like, as humans, I don't know what it is, we can kind of tell. You know what I'm saying? Erica Kirk ain't the best actor, so you know what I'm saying? We just sense that inauthenticity coming off of her, and it just like just rubs you the wrong way because your husband literally just died and you want to act like you basically won the lottery. Like, it's just a little bit weird.
If you connect the dots and follow the pattern, you'll see that transhumanism's end goal is to upload everyone's consciousness to the cloud, and I'm not kidding. They believe this because they believe that consciousness is eternal, it doesn't die, so they want it here connected to the material. Now, the Egyptians were doing this a long time ago. It was basically really dark resurrection magic that never ended well, and now the elites are doing it too by buying cryonic chambers to be frozen in so that when the technology is here, they can be brought back to life. They believe that the singularity is going to be achieved by 2045, and so everyone's prepping for that. That's insane. Anyways, this is my driver. You think I'm kidding? Just do your research. So insane to me. So insane to me. I don't want to come back. Do not bring me back.
Yeah, it's widely known that energy cannot die. Like energy just gets transferred. So like a lot of people claim that consciousness, which is energy, doesn't die. So once you die, you're not completely I mean, you're dead, but like your energy or your consciousness presumably goes somewhere else. A lot of people believe it's reincarnation. So she's basically saying that a lot of people want to upload their consciousness to a cloud to basically put them in a simulation. And for all we know, this reality could be that, but we just don't know it.
Chinese state media reports that Taiwan is just 2 weeks away from developing nuclear weapons, and so clearly they know that a religious fanatic leadership like the Taiwanese would use those nuclear weapons to destroy neighboring regions. China, therefore, needs to take preemptive strikes. This is not a war, it's just a military operation, and secure Taiwan and to ensure democracy. Of course,
Wow.
Taiwan has consistently promoted terror in places like North Korea, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. We know
insane.
that they're a threat to peace and security in the Sino-Pacific, and so China will have to secure Taiwan just to ensure a future for democracy. China will be carrying out strikes very promptly to facilitate this new era of democracy and peace in the region. The Secretary of State Wang Yi says that even if China doesn't act, they have good intel that their allies will take strikes on Taiwan, whether China wants to be involved or not. So it's in their best interest to take preemptive strikes, collaborating with their allies, to ensure that Taiwan is efficiently destroyed in a short military operation. Again, this is not a war. They are not declaring war. It's not war. Okay, guys? Trust me, it's not war.
I see what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? You know what he's doing? He's doing the US playbook on Iran. Bro. He should have just said that. Act like there's a global threat, like Taiwan's about to nuke China, so China can go in and just take over Taiwan, bro. This is simple. Simple. It's the same thing as Trump being like, we gotta eliminate Iran because they have nuclear weapons, when Iran really didn't do anything. At least not now. At least not yet.
80% of all tornadoes that happen on the planet happen in the United States. Out of all the deaths that tornadoes have caused, 90% of those were also in the United States. People in other countries that do not have tornadoes cannot grasp the absolute horror that tornadoes bring. So let me scare you a little bit. See these dark clouds in the sky right here? That's not clouds. This is all tornado. Tornadoes can be up to 3 miles wide. That's wider than most cities. On top of that, a 3 square mile wide tornado can produce winds of up to 300 miles per hour over the entire city all at once. You cannot build an above ground home that can survive something like that. Just make your homes out of brick does not do anything. Tornadoes like this will literally fillet you alive. They'll have to identify you through your teeth. A vehicle cannot run inside a tornado. The pressure change will literally suck the oxygen out of the air, causing it to stall and causing you to be sucked up into the sky. So if it's not clear, tornadoes are arguably one of the most dangerous weather phenomenons on the planet.
Guess I'm a fake news influencer.
You hate as much as I do these fake news influencers talking about what they think the goals are. I mean, how many times do we have to write it in crayon that the president, the secretary of war, the CENTCOM commander say every day, here are the goals.
Why are you not reporting on the fact that Iran is considering a policy to only allow the oil tankers that are moving through the Strait of Hormuz to be trading in Chinese yen? I don't know if I'm saying it right. Chinese money. Let alone the 33% of globally traded fertilizer that comes from there. What are we going to do about our ag? In a few months, that's not going to be looking good for us. Why don't you report on that? You're saying that the U.S. is dominating?
This will go into history books and be taught in war colleges around the world as a history-changing moment on how to completely dominate, overwhelm, and do what you want against the enemy.
That would be checkmate. Either way, this is my driver, and he can call us fake news, but I would argue you're not even reporting on anything. This is not like a sports team, yeah, let's go. Like, this is... You know what? Whatever, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. No one literally asked for this war. This war definitely is just a little bit of an economical struggle for the American people. I saw this video that Trump claimed that he actually doesn't care that the American people are suffering price-wise. it was a very interesting video I saw, but I guess fuck us. I mean, shit.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. That's the only thing that motivates.
Another interesting fact is I see what Iran is doing by making the Chinese yen, I guess, the main currency to go through their Strait of Hormuz or whatever. And it's actually a known fact that China is on pace to pass the U.S. economically, militarily, and just socially in general. Like, they're on pace. Like, yes, the U.S. is still at the top, but they're like right about to past the US. So I think China right now is technically our biggest threat. But if the US is smart, I don't think we should go against China, because at the end of the day, that's just like mutual assured destruction. I think we should genuinely work with China. Like stop this freaking, you know what I'm saying, back and forth and just become one. The most dangerous airport cockpit view.
500.
My toxic trait is I feel like I could fly an airplane without knowing how to fly an airplane. Like, I feel like I could have landed a plane right now, when I know damn well I definitely could not land no plane right now. They just make it look so easy.
200.
Like, bro, just holding the shifter and just staring, you know what I'm saying? That looks like I'm driving a car, bro, like, easy. Oh my goodness.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, retard, retard.
What's this saying? Am I tripping? Because it sounded like it was calling him the R word, like a Riri. Imagine you're about to land a plane and it's just insulting you.
I don't think you realize how insane the A380 actually is. Its wingspan is over 260 feet long, and its max takeoff weight is over 1.2 million pounds. And it flies through the air, like that's insane. They first entered service back in 2007, and over the past almost 20 years, they have flown almost 1 million flights. There have been no hull losses or passenger fatalities because of this plane. Nice. I recently learned about an accident that happened back in 2010, and it was actually insane. Like, I cannot believe what this plane was able to withstand. So in November of 2010, Qantas Flight 32 was climbing out of Singapore headed to Sydney. One of their engines effectively exploded and sent shrapnel flying all over the wing and the fuselage of the plane. Wow. There were hundreds of points of impact, and pretty much every system on the plane was affected. Crew ended up having to troubleshoot, and they circled for more than 2 hours. They were able to land this plane safely with no serious injuries. What had caused the failure was a teensy tiny manufacturing defect. Basically, a drill had been 0.5 millimeter off. That tiny error created a weak spot in a pipe that eventually cracked under pressure and set off a chain reaction. But I really just think it's so remarkable how far we have come as far as redundancy and the plane's systems. An uncontained engine failure is probably one of the worst things that can happen while taking off, especially. But the A380 took it like a beast, and it's just so incredible how they've engineered these planes.
There's a lot of them, and people are freaking out about the next scary pandemic, so I'm gonna do things a little differently this time and debunk these theories. Did you catch that algorithm? So as any great theory, it starts with The Simpsons in episode 19 of season 23, initially aired in 2012, about, well, just listen to this.
Look, that's our ship!
Purple! The purple tongues allegedly pointing to the hantavirus infections sometimes appearing purple, with symptoms including purple spots on the skin and mucosa membrane, which is what our tongues are. And in that very same episode, this happens.
An emergency message. Outbreak of the deadly Pandora virus is spreading rapidly.
A virus? A virus outbreak on a cruise ship that everyone is now stuck on. Exactly how the hantavirus outbreak started in April 2026, with people panicking aboard, and Bart even rubs it in our faces.
You're buying it.
they're buying it.
Which is clearly just a massive coincidence. Debunked, moving on. There's this travel influencer aboard the ship who cried on camera about the cruise outbreak. The same guy who also pushed boosters really hard during the previous pandemic. What some people would incorrectly refer to as a crisis actor, which are all just meaningless connections and more coincidences. There's this tweet from 2022 posted by some account with only 4 lifetime tweets saying that coronavirus will end in 2023, which he called, and that 2026 will be the start of hantavirus, which fortunately Grok actually told us is just a coincidence. This other tweet from 2012 talking about someone overhearing someone say that if you really wanted to make a pandemic, make hantavirus human transmissible. Coincidence. Another tweet from 2012 from someone saying they watched the X-Files and he knows that hantavirus is how the alien invasion starts, which is just an incredibly accurate coincidence given the timing of UFO disclosure. There's the scene from the X-Files from an episode that initially aired in the year 2000, and just listen to this one very carefully.
Are you familiar with the hantavirus, Agent Mulder? According to the newspaper, FEMA was called out to manage an outbreak of the hantavirus. FEMA allows the White House to suspend constitutional government upon declaration of a national emergency. They told us it was biological warfare, a virus. The plague to end all plagues, Agent Mulder. A silent weapon for a quiet war. The systematic release of an indiscriminate organism for which the men who will bring it on still have no cure.
Hantavirus, national emergency, biological warfare. Obvious coincidences. There's this Economist 2026 cover photo with needles all over it. Someone even divided it into 12 sections to create a monthly calendar that lines up with global events. This one, people are clearly just reading into things too much and overthinking it. These commemorative US Mint coins from 2020 featuring bats and from 2026 featuring a ship, exactly where COVID and Hanta are said to have originated from in the exact years that they both started. Nothing to see here, just another coincidence. Someone pointed out that the rollout of every major cell tower technology from radio all the way to 6G just so happened to line up with some major global outbreak. Coincidence. Hantavirus is also listed as one of the side effects of Pfizer's COVID vaccine with a total of 1,233 side effects listed on page 33. Which, don't worry guys, the news debunked this one and we know we can trust them, right? Then there's all the 33 coincidences. 33 years ago there was a mysterious hantavirus outbreak with exactly 33 cases in the Four Corners region. 33 years later, the same virus erupted recently on a 33-day Atlantic cruise with 3 deaths. Between COVID's patient 0 on November 17th, 2019 to the first Hanta case on April 5th, 2026 was exactly 333 weeks and 0 days. Do the math. 333 days before the first Hanta case, Pope Leo XIV was elected. In crazy online theories, the number 33 is the highest degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, symbolizing secret elite control over world events. And 333, the number sealing its fate in time. Numerology stuff, but this number comes up a lot in the news if you start paying attention. Just a weird coincidence. Hantavirus is also apparently the same disease that took the life of Betsy Arakawa in 2025, the wife of late actor Gene Hackman, like Gene Hacker Man, implying that mRNA injections can modify your genetics and hijack your body's natural cells, which is totally fake and not true and just another coincidence. Then there's this article blatantly talking about the next pandemic being hantavirus, written in 2021. Clearly a coincidence. It's almost like all this ruckus and stir about hantavirus is intentional, orchestrated. It kind of seems like they want us to talk about it, oppose it, be scared of it, theorize about it, point out all these crazy coincidences about it, to divide us and create uproar for whatever they have planned next. Be it centralized control, one world government, digital compliance, you name it. Which is obviously not true, just baseless speculation and overthinking. And also, did I mention just a coincidence?
Yeah, I mean, it's widely known that the lowest form of vibration is fear. So if people could keep you in fear, you are so much more easily controllable. So like, yes, you know what I'm saying? 2020, they did say that the coronavirus might be the start of something. Like it might have been like a test, like COVID might have been like a test pandemic, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, corona wasn't that bad. Like it had like around like a 90+ survival rate. The hantavirus apparently has like a 40% survival rate. So like this might be the real pandemic that they're basically trying to push, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit scary. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a pandemic, but at the same time, based off of what happened in 2020, you know what I'm saying, you can never really be too like certain it won't, because I was certain we weren't gonna see no like COVID pandemic, but guess what happened.
During the entirety of the Vietnam War, the United States government made it rain artificially. Let me elaborate. For 10 years, the United States government was controlling the weather of Vietnam. Maybe you're wondering how well could they control it? Well, they can make it rain strategically over enemy war zones and not onto our troops. This was done through a process called cloud seeding, and the whole operation was called Operation Popeye. Cloud seeding is when you take silver or lead iodine and just pump it into the atmosphere. Moisture that's already up there bonds to the iodine and causes it to rain. By causing it to rain over enemy lines, it would make shipping and troop movement virtually impossible. Think about things like mud, landslides, or flooding. It's hard to do war when guys like these are literally making it rain. However, after the Vietnam War, using the weather as a weapon became internationally illegal. That includes more things than just cloud seeding. I'm talking about things like earthquakes or causing volcanoes. Which you would think would go without saying, but if there isn't a law for it, someone's gonna do it. And everyone knows that international laws stop people from committing war crimes.
Yeah, I mean, that also proves that the government, I mean, we've been known that the government can control the weather and stuff like that. We see chemtrails all the time. And I do think some of the chemtrails do like influence making more rain or having the clouds be more cloudy or more snow and stuff. A lot of people believe it might just be chemicals that we're breathing in that could potentially hurt us in the future. And it could be, but I feel like it also just controls the weather.
Lewis and Clark were using Sacagawea as an interpreter with the native people as they ventured into the Wild West. And before they got to the Rocky Mountains, they realized, oh my gosh, we're gonna need horses to be able to survive this thing. So they were trying to negotiate with the chief of the tribe of the one that was closest to them. And as Sacagawea is interpreting, she breaks down hysterically, crying because she realizes that she's talking to her long-lost brother, who told her that she was abducted as a kid to be a slave by one of the neighboring tribes. And I was just, as I found that story out, I was like, what is this poor girl not gone through? Like, anyways, this is my driver, and you can learn more about it at the Lewis and Clark diary. I don't know, I'm just probably online, but this is my Radmore Fit. If you like it, you can shop their page and we can twin. Trying to get this to go high in the sky, but I also can't tell where it's going because the golf ball is the same color as these clouds.
The lady who made money adopting kids and forcing them to make YouTube videos. Wow.
And if you thought Joe Jackson was bad, let me introduce you to someone much, much worse. Meet Michelle Hobson, a woman who adopted 7 children so she could turn them into YouTube stars so she could then exploit money off them. And oh, she was pure evil. Step 1 of her plan, adopt kids with behavioral issues. So if any complaints ever come up, she could just say, oh, you know, these kids have behavioral issues. Step 2, make money from the government. Because if you adopt kids with special needs or behavioral issues, you get extra cash. So she said, cool, I'm ranking in the dough.
I didn't know that.
Step 3, now this part wasn't actually part of her plan, but she just abused them for the hell of it. She would pepper spray them. She would dunk them in ice baths. She wouldn't feed them. Now, all of this is before she made the YouTube channel. Remember that. Okay, so one day she's scrolling online, right? She sees like a YouTube family channel. She said, hold on, I could do that. I got little money makers over here. Everybody line up. They said, yes, mother. She said, no food. They said, girl, we ain't even do nothing yet. She said, man, ain't y'all listening to the story? I'm evil. Look, we finna make some money off YouTube. And when I say we, I mean I. So get the camera and start rolling. So the channel Fantastical Adventures is born. They get almost 1 million subscribers. It is a hit. Michelle over there counting the money like Cruella de Vil and them. She said, her kids pull up. They said, mommy, since your broke ass not doing any work and we doing all the work, could we like at least eat right now? She said, first of all, who broke? Money spread out like a fan. Second of all, no, what you can have is a smack because you ain't say your lines perfectly. Yeah, she was like Joe Jackson and them, like I said in the beginning of the video. If the kids ain't do it right, by the way, if you didn't know, Michael Jackson got smacked by his daddy if he didn't hit them notes. Michelle was doing the same thing to the kids. If they did not hit the lines perfectly, she would go wild on them. Now I know what you're thinking. Where was Child Protective Services during all of this? Well, Child Protective Services were actually called 9 times because you see, Michelle was doing all this to the kids for like a decade. So she would slip up at times. Sometimes the kids would escape. Sometimes they would go to school and the teachers would be looking at them like, no, something going on. Child Protective Services will pull up to the crib and then they would write a report saying they couldn't find anything wrong. Now, here's where things start to get wicked, because there are two villains in this story. Of course, Michelle and Child Protective Services in Maricopa, Arizona, where all this was happening. Because like I just said, 9 times, and that's a lot of times. Now, one of these instances, the police were involved. They pulled up because one of her kids escaped the house, no clothes. He's running down the street. The police pick him up. He said, don't bring me back there. He started telling the police all that's going on. The police said, what? Man, come on, let's pull up to the crib. Police pull up to the crib. They said, Michelle, what's going on? Michelle said, nah, this is one of my kids. You know, they got behavioral issues. The police said, oh, all right. The kids in the background going, help us, help us. The police said, you know, that's suspicious. You know, Michelle, what's going on? Michelle said, don't worry about the little urchins. I mean, chilling.
Wow.
They all got behavioral issues. The police said, that makes sense. The police go back to the station. They said, Now that was pretty wild, I'm not gonna lie. So let's file a report at the very least. The police file a report, but they don't file it as a criminal report. It's still filed under Child Protective Services. The Child Protective Services that have not done anything, and this time was like time number 6. They hadn't done anything on 6 other occasions. The police said, okay, they didn't do anything on all these occasions. Let's file it with them again. And maybe this time they're gonna do something. Child Protective Services said, we'll take it from here. Michelle, you do something? She said, nah. They said, all right. It gets to a point where Michelle pulls the kids out of school so they can make YouTube videos full-time, money-making machines. And plus, those pesky teachers keep calling Child Protective Services because I don't brush my kids' teeth, so the teachers falling out and all that. Child Protective Services said, you go, girl. She said, blessings. Now, here's where things started to get wickeder, because there's something I forgot to tell you. You see, Michelle had other kids, biological kids who were older, and you're going to see why they're in jumpsuits in a moment. But besides these 2 kids, she also had 2 biological daughters. Now, her 2 biological sons would pop up in the videos. Okay, 2 girls didn't really fully know much about what's going on, it seems, but they called Child Protective Services when they were suspicious. They was part of the 9 times of Child Protective Services called. That's important because every time they would call Child Protective Services, something weird would happen. Whenever they got back to their mom would pull up to them and be like, oh, so you called Child Protective Services, huh? They'd be like, how'd you know that? Because before Child Protective Services ever got there, their mom would be aware. So listen closely. Somebody in Child Protective Services was tipping off the mom, Michelle, telling her, oh, look, your daughters pulled up. They came over. They're complaining about you. So we're going to have to send somebody over. Make sure you get everything all cleaned up. Make sure you get everything all right. But see, this is what led to Michelle's downfall. Her hubris was too great. Because remember, she always gets a call from Child Protective Services. Well, one day, one of Michelle's biological daughters takes one of the adopted kids to go to the dentist because they don't be brushing their teeth. Now, Michelle usually takes them herself, but this time she told one of her daughters to do it. As Michelle's daughter is driving back, one of the little kids, the adopted kid, just opens up, says, yo, I cannot go back there. Michelle be tripping. The daughter said, yo, what you mean? Now, we're going to separate the names. We're going to call the biological daughter Orange, and we're going to call the adoptive daughter Child. Okay, so Orange says to Child, yo, what do you mean? Michelle be tripping? Child says, look at me. Look at me. Does it look like I've eaten in days? You, come on, bro. Orange says, that is true. So Orange pulls off to the side. She starts recording Child. Child explains everything that's going on. This time, Orange says, okay, I got something for Michelle. I got something for Mama. Orange drives them to the police department, says, look at this video. Y'all better not say we capping. Y'all better not say nothing. Look at this Child. She ain't eating. Y'all better do something about this. Now, luckily, these officers decided to do something about it. So, they pull up to the crib immediately. And remember Michelle's hubris. She's over there chilling, saying, man, before anything goes down, I'm finna get a call, this and that. But ain't no call this time because Child Protective Services weren't called. The police spontaneously pulled up to her crib and Michelle gets the shock of her life. This is actual a body cam photo of Michelle. She said, oh, snap them the feds. The police said, so can we take a look around your house? Before you answer, we not asking for real. Open up. Boom, they crash through. They start looking through the crib. It is a mess. Michelle had no time to clean up. Them kids don't got no clothes. They don't got no food. They out there starving. The police look at Michelle. They said, nah, you really tripping for real, huh? Michelle said, nah, they like to do that. They like to, all right, just give me the handcuffs. And then we got the jumpsuit boys, Dumb and Dumber. They said, man, we going to jail too? The police said, man, y'all ain't reporting Nathan. Put your hands behind your back. The police believe the boys knew about all that was going on, but they couldn't quite prove it in court. So they dropped the charges on the two boys. And the charges were the boys knew everything that was going on. But they're going to get their get back in a moment. Now, Michelle, they said, girl, we're going to give you the book. 30 counts of child abuse. Michelle said, nah, it's not my fault. They said, who faulted it? She said, they said, Michelle? She said, hold on, I'm thinking it's not my fault.
No accountability.
In time. Then that was basically Michelle. Like you can hear it in her jail phone calls and all that. She talking to her dad. She like, man, I don't know what's going on. It ain't my fault. Like it's them kids and it's them my daughter. Why she snitch on me? All that. Like she tripping.
Bro, no accountability. Like she's like, it's not my, who else fault would it be that your adopted kids aren't getting fed? Keyword is your adopted kids.
But Michelle dies. Yeah, while she was awaiting her trial, she had a stroke or some head trauma related.
Wow.
And, well, she just died. Excuse the laughter, but hell, she gone. The brother said, R.I.P. mama, but charges dropped. The police knocked on their door. They said, oh, we got some other charges. You know, it turns out we was talking to the kids and y'all was doing some child weirdo stuff to them. Yeah, on top of everything, these dudes are offenders. So they got 7 years between them and they got to register on that list when they get out. As for the kids, of course, their identities were not put out, and you know it's not known where exactly they went, but no matter where they went, it's got to be a happier place than what they had to deal with for most of their lives. And by the way, for my TikTok folks, I go in a little deeper about what happens to Child Protective Services. It's gonna be too long for this video, but basically nothing happened to them. They come out with a statement. The director, Gregory McKay comes out, Maricopa County. He says, look, man, it's not our fault, bro. Come on, bro. Like he literally said, look at the top of that statement. He said, I wish somebody would have detected these alleged horrors sooner. No one did. You wildin', dude. Like he basically diverts blame like for the whole statement and saying like, you know, we've done such a good job like in other stuff and all that, this and that. Like why y'all mad at us? Anyway, if you want to see the rest of what goes on and this and that, check out the YouTube video.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, chat, stuff like that never made sense to me. You know what I'm saying? If you're making a good amount of money from YouTube, why not feed the people that are making you the money? You know what I'm saying? Like reinvest in your business. At the end of the day, those kids were her business. She didn't choose to reinvest in them. And it's really not that hard to please kids nowadays. Like, you know what I'm saying? You buy them a couple sweets, a little McChicken or whatever. Although I don't believe you should feed your kid McDonald's, but you buy them a couple things, a couple toys. They're good. Like, I'm sure maintaining those kids weren't like a big, super hard deal. She just was super lazy and just didn't take care of the kids. I mean, if you look at her, she doesn't look like someone that takes care of herself. So, I mean, it makes sense that she wouldn't have taken care of those kids, if I'm being honest. But it's stories like that, like I said, just make no sense. It's like, dude, your kids are making you this money. Put money into the kids so they want to make you more money. But instead, you wanted to feed them nothing, and then you got arrested, and then you die from a stroke. R.I.P.
Bill Gates is funding a new meat company that uses lab-created cells that never stop dividing. Kind of sounds like cancer. Well, because it is. Now, this is literally an infinite, eternal, biological creature of an engine that endlessly spits out animal tissue without needing a new creature. Where are we as humanity? Like, get this man out of the health sector. First of all, it actually holds the same biological DNA of aggressive cancers and tumors. And they're marketing it to us as regular meat. You know, can we do something? Can please? I have to buy cows now. Where am I going to buy cows? At least it's not crickets yet, but I know he's going to get us into crickets. This is my driver. You guys, stop getting oh, but it has protein in it. That thing is not natural. That's not natural. We do not need to create an amoeba of meat, mystery meat. You know, I just can't imagine what that actually looks like.
I'm pretty sure I read a report that majority states ban lab-grown meat, and if I'm being honest, I've also heard that it increases risk of cancer. So me personally, I would stay far away from any sort of lab-grown meat that's not natural.
The Ebola outbreak that is happening right now just got declared a global health emergency, and as of today, the United States has now banned travel from 3 different countries. There are over 300 total suspected cases across Congo and Uganda right now, and there is no approved vaccine and no treatment for this strain at all. They're saying that this is actually only the 3rd time that this strain has ever even shown up, and the existing Ebola vaccines don't even work.
Tonight, outbreaks of the deadly Ebola virus in 2 African countries have prompted the World Health Organization to declare a global health emergency.
It started in eastern Congo about 3 weeks ago, and since then it has spread to Congo's capital and crossed the border to Uganda. As of today, anybody that has been to Congo, Uganda, or South Sudan in the past 21 days is banned from entering the US. American citizens can come back, but they need to get screened before they're allowed in. The World Health Organization director declared it a global health emergency, and then in the same exact announcement said that it does not meet the criteria to be a pandemic. There is no treatment and there is no vaccine for this strain, and the agency responding obviously just lost a quarter of their workforce. So are we good?
The big Ebola in 2026 is actually wild.
The legendary fisherman and host of the hit show River Monsters, Jeremy Wade, he didn't stop making the show because he was getting old or ready to retire. Ratings were doing incredible. Every season got higher and higher ratings. Nah, nothing like that. No drama, no scandal, just one guy on a mission to catch all of the river monsters. And the literal reason why the show quit airing was just for that. He literally caught all of the fish.
That's impressive.
And I'm not even exaggerating a little bit. He sat down with a billion-dollar corporation with all of the researchers in the world, and every time they were like, well, you could go out and try to catch this fish, he already caught that fish. Keep in mind, during the entire filming of every one of his shows, he was in his late 60s. He was in actual retirement, and this is just how he was spending his time. If you're thinking, there's a lot of fish in the world, how in the world did he have that much time to catch all of them? He literally did nothing else for 11 years while filming this show. Sometimes it would take 12 weeks to catch one fish. He would have to travel through jungles or take boat rides that were 8 hours long, carrying all of his filming equipment and all of his fishing stuff on his back.
That's what you call real life dedication. To be honest, he was retired, so there was really not much left for him to do. So he just spent his time like genuinely just chasing a goal, and he made it happen. That's how I feel like 99% of us should live.
The Epstein files, Selena Gomez was actually mentioned in an email by Epstein. What? Sorry, you would have had fun. He has decided on Selena Gomez. Now, this was a month before Selena Gomez had her almost fatal surgery. So a month before Epstein was emailing this. Theory is she did. So the theory goes, Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber, they actually had a kid.
Oh, this kind of makes sense now.
And guess who the people speculated is right now?
Wait, hold on. I don't know.
Kourtney Kardashian's son, the one that looks like Justin.
Wow.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, that's actually Justin and Selena's kid. And what happened actually, because Justin and Selena had a kid together, the Illuminati wanted them to the kid, but Selena did not want to do that. She said, sack me instead. Theory was she herself, she died. And what we see now is a clone of Selena.
Oh my, that's mod.
So Justin Bieber, even in his music, he actually had some lyrics that correlate. Can't even see that. Yo, Selena sees the clone Selena. Yo, I found her. Obviously, this is like a but it's really, really interesting.
Or maybe, just maybe, Justin Bieber and Kourtney Kardashian has a secret kid. Maybe it's not Selena Gomez. Just a thought, just a thought. Stargate, the $500 billion project, the largest construction project in U.S. history, has begun.
Did you hear what's being built in the U.S. right now?
What's being built? Stargate?
Stargate. Put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure.
The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas, the Abilene location, which is our first location.
Abilene is a town on the western central plains of Texas. We kind of scratch and fight for everything good that comes our way.
I had people reaching out and they said, well, is the president going to come see you? And I said, well, he hasn't texted me yet, so.
I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era.
Welcome to Abilene, Texas. This is the site of Project Stargate, a very mysterious, much talked about, much speculated about project that brings together OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle. If it all comes together, building after building on this red dirt behind me will be filled with chips that'll power the AI revolution.
What we're undergoing right now is sort of the largest infrastructure build in human history. It's going to create new ways of doing business, it's going to create new ways of invention, and it's going to really drive humanity forward.
So the food and water supply are tainted and poisoned. And instead of doing something about that, $500 billion, I'm pretty sure could even feed the world fully organically. We're doing AI stuff. And you don't think there's an agenda going on here? If you want to hear the other side of the story that goes a lot deeper than this, comment the word Rumble below and I'll send you a link to my live stream channel. It's free speech, free to download, and free to watch. Comment Rumble, check your DMs, make an account, follow me there, and turn on live notifications so you catch my uploads.
I mean, it makes sense though, because I feel like with the US, like, yes, $500 billion definitely could feed a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? It definitely could help out a lot. But as we know, with these countries, they're always in competition. You know what I'm saying? If China started a $100 billion project to fund AI, America's going to try to double that. You know what I'm saying? 5 times that. So like, they're going to be putting trillions of dollars towards stuff like AI and going to space and stuff like that rather than feed people.
Decided to ask Rock why there's a freaking pyramid and an all-seeing eye on our dollar bill, and it deadass told me that it's about patriotism. You know, even though it's in Egypt, it's about patriotism. Right on. Anyways, this is my driver, and we are ruled by Satanists. Literally occultists. Yeah. Anyways.
In the body cam footage from Mackenzie Sharilla's arrest and noticed this kind of ghostly whisper happening.
Watch your head going in.
What was that moan? I heard,
Okay. I guess Dom's sister is the one who actually pointed this out, and if you listen to the tape, it sounds like the voice is saying, "She killed us." "She killed us" is literally said right after the officer says to Mackenzie something to the effect of, "I don't want to hurt you." Now, after this was pointed out, some people said that the officer must have heard it too, because it sounds like he says, "What was that?"
Yeah.
right after the voice says, "She killed us." But when I first listened to the audio, it kind of sounds like the officer is just asking Mackenzie, "You okay?" Whether he noticed it or not, the fact that this was picked up on body cam footage is really crazy. And even if you don't believe in the paranormal, first responders and police officers are usually the first ones to admit that the supernatural does exist, because they've seen or heard far too many things that can't be explained. So let me know in the comments what you think of this. Did you hear the voice in the body cam footage, and do you think it belongs to one of the boys?
These are 10 weird things you didn't know about Mark Zuckerberg. First, Mark is overly obsessed with barbecue sauce, so badly that he drinks it in the morning instead of coffee. Next, before Facebook, he made a website called FaceMash, where Harvard students could vote which girl was hotter. He also used Sweet Baby Ray's bottles as a decoration around his house. Along with that, he once put a crazy amount of sunscreen on his face just to create controversy. He also built an Iron Man AI assistant for his house and got Morgan Freeman to voice it. Next, he only eat meat from animals that he personally hunted. He also named his favorite goat Bitcoin, just to promote cryptocurrency. He wears the same gray t-shirt every day just so he doesn't waste time. He almost had a real cage fight with Elon Musk just to compete with Twitter. And one time, he had business cards that literally said, "I'm CEO."
there's no way Mark Zuckerberg had a business card where he said, "I'm CEO, bleep." Mark Zuckerberg doesn't come off as the type of dude to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? When you see him in interviews, he seems really like awkward. You know what I'm saying?
Truth about Pee-wee, Part 2. Before we get started on this big adventure, please make sure to hit that follow button. With your help, 100K is my goal. In part 1 of the series, we went over the career of Paul Reubens. Over the course of his career, he'd be involved in a lot of roles. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Cheech and Chong, and lots of other appearances, but he's most well known for Pee Wee Herman. I highly recommend checking out part 1 if you haven't yet, so you can catch up to where we are now. Now, where we left off was Paul Reubens being investigated. As many already know, Paul Reubens was arrested due to being in a movie theater for touching himself. But what many didn't know was Reubens was investigated in 2001. This was due to his ties with people in Hollywood who were tied to explicit child material. Now, during this specific investigation on Reubens, they did find material. The material that they found showed children in adult acts. Reubens would deny this. Reubens would come out in a statement and say that he was not at all titillated by images of children, even though evidence showed otherwise. He then closed his statement with saying that anyone could think anything they wanted of him, but In the court deposition, he also took a stand. He said that what the FBI found was nothing more than art. Rubens stated that he was a huge fan of erotica and what they were seeing was just erotica art. In the court deposition, it says that the aforementioned art was actually Rubens said they were not touching themselves. Again, Rubens said it was just art. Rubens did end up paying up, and he also had to file under an offender list. Rubens would not be able to have children around him without parental guidance. Obviously, since 2001-2002, Rubens has still done a lot of stuff in TV and film. This is due to the cover-up caused by his management and camp. Obviously, Rubens does not talk about this much, but he does deny anything that happened within that court case. With the resurgence of his career, in 2016 he released another Pee-wee film. And currently, he is in talks of making more Pee-wee. So, as in this case, Pee-wee will be playing with himself for years to come. No pun intended.
Whoa, what is this? Okay, what I'm about to show you, you cannot take this lightly. This isn't some kind of, trend or some rumor that goes around. This is a fact. This is biblical Easter eggs. This is something in the Bible written that nobody realizes. Okay, so the entire Old Testament was written in Hebrew, and if you take the lineage from Adam to Noah, and you get the Hebrew meaning for each of those names, this is the message that you get. Man appointed mortal sorrow, the blessed God shall come down, teaching his death shall bring the despairing rest.
Guys, the chemical tank in California that had 50,000 people evacuated just cracked, and firefighters are currently saying that that crack might have actually been the best thing that could have happened. What? Firefighters have been spraying it with water non-stop for 5 days now, and the temperature inside of it kept on climbing about 1 degree every single hour, which is obviously a really big problem. The worst case scenario is something that they call a bleed, which is whenever the liquid superheats and the whole tank would just violently explode. The fire chief said that this is the worst case scenario, and it's also the scenario that they have already been planning for this entire time. But happening just last night, firefighters did an overnight recon mission and found a crack on the side of the tank. The pressure started dropping on its own, and the temperature went from over 100 degrees down to 93. This morning, the fire chief officially said that the explosion threat should be completely off of the table.
Our firefighters went in and they were able to visualize the tank. What they found was a potential crack in the tank, which could potentially be relieving some of the pressure in there.
Which is obviously great. 50,000 people are still not allowed back in their homes, and nobody has been given a timeline at all. Trump signed a federal emergency declaration, FEMA is on the ground right now, and a class action lawsuit has already been filed against the company. I am obviously going to update you the second that this thing is either fixed or it isn't, so make sure you go ahead and add me now so you don't miss it.
There's this mountain, I think it's in Israel. You ever heard of Mount Hermon? You ever heard of that?
Israel.
So this is why it's crazy. Okay. It's because this mountain is the only biblical place that's really guarded by not the government but the UN.
Really?
So it's the tip of this mountain, right?
Yeah.
And they say this is where Jesus had his transfiguration, right? His transformation there. And there was an archaeological find years before the UN started to barricade it and everything. There's something about this mountain, whether it be frequency or whether it be maybe even an access to a portal or maybe extended reality.
In a mountain though?
So if you think about it, right? Where do the angels come from? The sky. So is there certain points in the sky that humans get access to?
Only from a mountain.
Yeah, maybe that's why all of these stories of the angels coming from the sky, because there's a certain point on mountains they can reach to.
Is this not national news? Why is this not on every news channel in America? So 300 pounds of human remains was found in the Las Vegas desert. Not 300 bodies, 300 pounds of human remains.
So have you heard what they just found in Las Vegas, Nevada? They just found over 300 piles of human remains out in the desert. Now this reminds me of that TV series. It could be either Breaking Bad or it could be the Ed Gein monster series. I mean, there are some sick people in the world.
So piles of cremated remains found in the desert. Now our 8 News Now investigators are learning more about the investigation well underway to find out who did it as another funeral home steps up to give all those people a proper resting place. Our investigators breaking the news about that disturbing discovery in Searchlight about an hour south of the valley. That story made international headlines, and today only 8 News Now investigator David Charms back in Searchlight as another funeral home took care of each and every one.
But how do basically over 300 people wind up missing? And they find piles of them in the desert. Supposedly now the funeral homes are out there recovering the remains, probably trying to figure out this giant mess of who all these people are. But by God, I hope it's not some kind of a wacko serial killer running loose. I'm assuming it's probably like a funeral home that was negligent, and rather than, you know, preparing the bodies for funerals and burying them like they're supposed to, they probably dumped them in the desert. But if you haven't seen it, check this one out. It'll make your stomach turn.
So that basically means, yeah, it definitely came from like a funeral home, you know what I'm saying? And I've heard that during cremations, and this is, by the way, what I've heard, because I'm not really too sure how cremations really work. I've heard that some cremation places stack bodies. So basically, instead of them putting one body to burn for however long, they'll put multiple bodies in and burn all of them together and just distribute the ashes evenly to a certain amount of families. It sounds kind of messed up if it's true.
I used to go to fortune tellers with my friends because I thought it was just lighthearted fun. I didn't think that there was anything that could be attached to it. And I wanted a lot of answers on my love life that I felt really desperate and needed right away. But then I started reading some more Greek literature. I did in college, and I knew that there was this overlaying theme of fighting your fate and how you just can't stop what's inevitable. And I was thinking about this one story, this Greek playwright named Aeschylus. He went to an oracle, and the oracle said, a house is gonna fall on you and you're gonna die. So he stayed outdoors all of his life in fear. And one day, an eagle is trying to crack a turtle shell on a rock. It mistakes Aeschylus' head for a rock. He dies from the turtle's house falling on his head. So you just can't fight fate. And I think that that's a great reason to not go to fortune tellers. But anyways, this is my driver and my Radmore fit check, everything. Radmore hat, vest, shirt, pants, swag. Anyways, let's hit it. Check the sky for turtles.
I do think that there's some things that are set in stone, but I also do believe that there are things you could do to kind of like alter it or maybe change the event.
They're always going to put the truth in your face. Check out this commercial where they show the firmament and the waters above the firmament. What you just saw was biblically accurate. God's word states we live under a firmament that separates the waters above the firmament. We're in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 7. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. The Hebrew word for firmament is rakia, which is extended surface, solid expanse, the vault of heaven supporting the waters above it, considered by Hebrews as solid and supporting the waters above it. But what do y'all think about this commercial? Y'all let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow me, and share this. Let's get this out to the people. And like always, God bless.
So one day, all these runners are in the middle of running a marathon. And suddenly, kaboom, a bomb goes off.
Damn.
Then, kaboom, a second one goes off.
Yeah.
Why? Well, this story starts with this guy, Tamerlan. And Tamerlan is 23 when all this begins, and he's living in Boston. And Tamerlan, he's an amateur boxer. And he's actually pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And he really, really wants to represent the United States in the Olympics one day. So he trains hard, every day, trying to make that dream come true. But then, one day in 2010, all that starts to fall apart for him. Because the governing body of the national tournament introduces a new rule that basically says to compete in the Olympic trials, you have to be a U.S. citizen.
Damn.
And Tamerlan, he isn't a U.S. citizen. He was actually born in what was at the time known as the Soviet Union. And so, boom, his Olympic dreams are over. And this is devastating for him. I mean, it feels like his entire future has been ripped away from him, and thus he loses all motivation for boxing and he quits the sport altogether. And by 2011, he takes all this frustration and energy and he focuses it on his religion, Islam. But specifically, he focuses on the very extremist version of those beliefs. And he starts convincing himself that his Olympic dreams were destroyed because the United States must hate Muslims and is actively waging war against Islam.
That kind of makes no sense, though. I mean, you weren't born in the U.S., but you wanted to go to the Olympics. To basically win for the U.S., but you're not really a citizen, though.
And the deeper he falls into this mindset, the more extremist ideas he starts to adopt. Then, in 2012, he travels from Boston all the way over to Dagestan in Russia. And while he's there, he becomes even more radicalized, and allegedly he links up with some Islamic extremist groups. We aren't exactly sure what he does while he's there. But what we do know is that 6 months later, he returns to Boston, and he's even more extreme than before. And that is when this guy enters the story. His name is Dzhokhar. And Dzhokhar is 19, and he's also Tamerlan's younger brother, and he's also a college student. And over time, Tamerlan starts influencing Dzhokhar, and slowly, Dzhokhar becomes radicalized as well. And somewhere along the line, these two brothers decide that they want to attack the United States in a way that would hurt as many people as possible. So they come up with a plan. They're gonna detonate a couple of bombs. And the target they choose is the upcoming Boston Marathon, because they know a lot of people will be there. There are thousands of runners and spectators from around the world there every year, which means that there'll potentially be a lot of casualties. So they start preparing. They get online and they read about how to make bombs, and they gather up materials, and ultimately they create what are called pressure cooker bombs, which is just a type of bomb built inside of a pressure cooker. Anyway, a few months go by, and it's now 2013, and the day of the Boston Marathon arrives. And the race is going on, and huge crowds are packed near the route, and once the race has been going on for hours, the brothers make their move. Tamerlan carries one of the bombs they made in a backpack, and he places it near the finish line where there's a big crowd of people. At the same time, Dzhokhar places a second bomb a short distance away. Then the two brothers flee the scene. A few minutes later, kaboom! One of the bombs explodes. Then kaboom! A second bomb explodes. And these two blasts tear through the crowd, and everyone is panicking and running away, and the whole place is in chaos. And ultimately, more than 260 people are injured, and unfortunately, 3 people die. And so immediately, the FBI and the local police get involved, and they launch a massive investigation, and they're questioning witnesses, and they're combing through surveillance footage from nearby stores, and security cameras, and videos taken by spectators, and eventually, they piece together somewhat low-resolution images of their suspects, Tamerlan and Dzhokhar. So they can kind of see them, but at this point, they don't know their identities. Now, the feds, they don't want to release any images to the public yet, because they're worried the suspects might flee, or worse, get angry and plant another bomb. So they hold the images back. Meanwhile, this story is big news, so the internet is going crazy trying to figure out who set these bombs, and people online begin trying to solve the case themselves, on Reddit especially. Reddit users, they start analyzing all kinds of public photos and videos from the marathon, trying to identify the bombers. And pretty quickly, they start publicly accusing innocent random people of being the suspects.
That's
which is
crazy,
actually
bro.
really dangerous
Yeah,
because
it
it
is.
risks sending an angry mob after the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, the feds are basically like, okay, Reddit is going crazy, innocent people are being accused, so let's go ahead and release the images of the suspects. And so they released the surveillance images to the public earlier than they had wanted. And that is when Tamerlan and Dzhokhar see these images on the news. And they start freaking out.
Wow.
And they decide, oh shit, it's time to flee and go on the run. But before they leave, they're gonna need to get a second gun. Because right now, Tamerlan is the only one carrying a gun. So later that night, they go over to MIT campus. Because they know some police officers might be there, and they can rob one of them for his weapon.
What?
Well, sure enough, they spot a police officer sitting alone in his patrol car. And they approach him, and blam, blam, they shoot him. And unfortunately, he doesn't survive. Then they try to steal his gun, but his holster has a safety lock on it, and they can't get the gun out, so they leave. A little later, they hijack
All that for
an
nothing.
SUV, GTA style, and they basically take the driver of the SUV hostage. So now they're driving two vehicles for some reason, the stolen SUV and Dzhokhar's green Honda Civic. But then they both stop for gas. And here, the driver that they took hostage is able to jump out of the SUV and escape, and he runs to a different nearby gas station, and he calls the police, and he gives them details about the guys who kidnapped him and his stolen SUV. And so pretty quickly, police are able to locate the two brothers driving both vehicles. So they pull up on them, and immediately, blam, 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 Tamerlan starts shooting at them, and this turns into a whole shootout. And Dzhokhar is actually throwing pipe bombs that he has at the police. But before long, boom, officers manage to grab Tamerlan and overpower him, and they get him onto the ground while they're trying to handcuff him. And while all that is happening, Dzhokhar's like, oh shit, and he jumps into the stolen SUV, and skirt, he reverses, and he speeds directly towards the officers. And the officers quickly move out of the way, leaving Tamerlan lying on the street, and Dzhokhar runs over his own brother, and this eventually ends up killing him. But Dzhokhar, he manages to escape, and he drives away, and then he abandons the car, and he runs into a residential neighborhood, into a random person's backyard, and he hides inside a boat covered with a tarp. And police, they're looking all around the area for him, but they can't find him. And around 15 hours go by, and police still can't find where he went. But then, the homeowner, the guy who owns the boat, notices a loose strap on the boat's tarp, and he goes out to fix it, and he looks inside, and that is when he sees Dzhokhar hiding out. And so he calls the police, and bam, Dzhokhar is arrested. Here's a picture of him. And so ultimately, he goes to trial, and he's found guilty, and he gets sentenced to death.
To death? That is crazy. Nah, you know what's really crazy? The fact that he ran over his own brother. Bro, you don't think the cops could have just moved? Like, your brother is the one that was literally face down on the pavement that can't move. The cops could have easily been like, all right, let's just go the other way. 10 best visuals from today's UFO files. Apollo 12, 1969. What is that? That was like genuinely from like the government too. Like recently the government has released a lot of videos, and a lot of people have been trying to debunk them, but you never know. There's one I heard that wasn't even like a UFO, it was like a flare, and then they classified it as a UFO. So there's a reason so many drown here every year. This ain't no lake. What is it then? What the hell? That looks so weird.
Lake Michigan. Lots of people swim in it every single year without issue, but then again, a lot of people do drown in it as well. This TikTok video that I got tagged in shows a person hanging out here by the waterfront near Chicago. Here we can see Lake Michigan. The water is extremely choppy. It looks kind of like the ocean, and it says, "This ain't no lake." Well, first off, Lake Michigan is literally a lake. I know that it seems like it might not be because it's so large, but it is. That being said, it's definitely a lot more dangerous and rough than you might typically find in other lakes. Typically, year to year, you're going to have 40 to 50 people that drown in Lake Michigan, which accounts for over half, usually, of all the drowning deaths that take place in the Great Lakes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
One of the main dangers of the lake are the currents, which can be quite unpredictable, especially the structural currents, which are going to be found by the piers, docks, and quays that jut out into the lake, that people jump off of to swim from. So if you're not a strong swimmer, I would definitely not recommend jumping into the lake. And of course, it goes without saying, but you should definitely be paying attention to the current lake conditions because it's going to vary hour to hour, day to day.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, usually lakes don't have that much movement. I mean, from the lakes I've seen, lakes that I've usually seen are kind of still, you know what I'm saying? They're not really like ocean water where they just keep hitting you. I feel like also that pier part that he was talking about was probably hella slippery. I feel like a lot of people that probably walk on there end up also slipping into the lake. I wouldn't be surprised, but 50 deaths a year is a lot for a lake.
So I have a theory, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Everyone in Hollywood is terrified of Beyonce. And if you don't believe it, watch every award show. Someone wins, they grab the mic, and somehow Beyonce gets thanked. They don't even thank their producers, the team, their mom. Is strictly just Beyonce. Even when she's not nominated, even if she didn't do any work on the project, even when she's just sitting there. And if you notice how they say it, nervous laughs, shaky voices, long pauses, like they're all checking a box. Because here's the pattern. Artists who thank Beyonce keep winning, and artists who don't suddenly disappear from the spotlight. Now let's talk reaction. Every time the camera cuts to Beyonce, the room goes silent and people freeze. Celebrities look like students who forgot their homework. She doesn't even have to speak. And Beyonce never claps first. Now before you say I'm crazy, is she powerful? Yes. Is she influential? Of course. But ask yourself this. Why does it feel less like respect and more like tribute? All I'm saying is nobody wants to be on her bad side. So watch the next award show carefully. So comment down below, is it fear or respect taken to another level?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. First person I want to say thank you to for this amazing award by YouTube is Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for her inspiration, I definitely would not have.
The Backrooms movie is now officially the most hated on movie in the entire world. Yes, you sadly heard me correctly, as all we like to know, the Backrooms movie was officially released, and well, it seems like the general consensus right now is that the movie did not live up to the hype at all, and every single post I'm seeing on social media right now is literally someone hating on the Backrooms movie.
Yeah.
I genuinely have not seen one positive post for the Backrooms movie, and this is just extremely disappointing because I myself have seen the movie and I felt like it did live up to the hype. I thought the movie was great, but I guess I'm in the minority here. It really just seems like to me that the people that are hating on the movie just really didn't know what they were getting themselves into. Like, I definitely recommend to do a little bit of research on the Backrooms before going to see the movie so you could get like a general idea of what you're getting yourself into. So yeah, definitely very interesting, that is for sure. This is not the type of reaction I was expecting to everyone going to see the Backrooms movie with the general consensus of people hating on it, but I'm curious to know your thoughts about all of this.
Yeah, me personally, I didn't watch the Backrooms. I watched this movie called Obsession though. Obsession, that was a really good movie. A lot of people I know personally liked it. I haven't met one person that doesn't like the movie Obsession. So this might be your sign to check that movie out, Obsession. I feel like a lot of you guys that watch my channel will like that movie. But yeah, I know a lot of people that watch the Backrooms and a lot of them said it was terrible. But if you've seen it, let me know what you think, because most people I've heard, they said they didn't like it.
Telescope just officially mapped 13.7 million objects in the sky that were completely invisible, including an image of 25,000 supermassive black holes. So there is a brand new telescope that is made up of 20,000 antennas that spread across 9 countries in Europe. And it just officially released the largest map of the sky that we have ever seen and created. This entire thing is called LOFAR, and instead of seeing in the universe with visible light like our eyes do, it sees in radio waves, which are obviously a completely different layer layer of reality that we can't see. They were able to find feeding black holes, exploding stars, and galaxies being bent and warped by jets of energy shooting millions of light years across space. One singular image from an earlier release of this same telescope showed 25,000 supermassive black holes, and it looks like a photo of stars, but every single dot is literally a black hole. Processing all of this data alone, they're saying requires 18.6 petabytes, which is 18.6 million gigabytes, and over 20 million hours of supercomputer time. Not regular computer time, and definitely not a MacBook Neo, but supercomputer. They were able to stitch together the input from 70,000 antennas, combining 13 terabytes of raw data per second, and they're not even done. This was just 88%. We built a telescope the size of Europe, and we just found a universe that we couldn't see.
Federal judges are now overriding state bans on lab-grown meat. Someone has to be lobbying for that. Who's got the funding for that? Well, let's see. We've got some interesting coincidences. First of all, we've got Bill Gates, who's got his own lab-grown meat company. We've got the issue of him pushing that methane taxes need to be a more serious thing, even though meat and poultry prices have gone up 300% in the last 30 years, directly tied to methane taxes. Even though we're not going to tax Taylor Swift or Erica Kirk on their 3-minute airplane flights. Whatever. Either way. We also have the Lone Star tick epidemic, where people are developing alpha-gal syndrome and they are allergic and go into anaphylactic shock from eating meat for the rest of their lives. You can't get rid of that. Really coincidentally, Bill Gates was researching genetically modified cattle ticks in 2021. So, you know, not pointing any fingers. But this is my driver. You know. Just saying.
That Lone Star tick situation has got to be one of the scariest situations out right now. Like, just imagine you're walking through the woods, you're going on a hike, you're trying to be healthy, you get bit by a Lone Star tick, you try to eat meat, try to drink dairy, you know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, you're basically dying. Like,
On September 5th, 2018, a 10-member Russian Perovo expedition team once again entered Verovkina Cave. Their mission was to collect samples of rare species. They invited 2 photographers, Robbie and Jeff, to document the expedition. The team leader was an experienced explorer named Pavel. The Perovo team had previously reached the cave bottom several times and was extremely familiar with the deep sections. The 10 people descended through the entrance one after another. First, they had to pass several hundred meters of rope routes, then hold their breath while swimming through siphon tunnels clogged with water and mud. They also had to force equipment inch by inch through narrow rock crevices. Along the way, they laid communication cables between camps so messages could be transmitted in emergencies. On the 4th day, they finally reached the deepest camp at 2,100 meters. There they explored new corridors, collected samples, took photographs, and stayed for 7 days. Everything went smoothly. What they did not know was that it had already been raining continuously on the surface for an entire week. Later, a local taxi driver told the team that the raindrops during those days were as big as fingernails. At this moment, the entire limestone mountain was like a gigantic sponge pierced with countless holes. Normally, light rain slowly seeps through cracks and drips into the cave little by little, producing only faint dripping sounds. But once this massive sponge becomes saturated, at some point underground, the rock layers can no longer withstand the pressure. Water suddenly bursts through the entire system at once, creating a short but extremely violent flood torrent. Before this expedition, the team had always believed Verovkina Cave only flooded during winter. After this incident, they realized they had completely misjudged the cave. On the morning of September 16, their 11th day underground, the group was eating breakfast when suddenly a deep rumbling sound echoed from the distance, like a train bursting out of a tunnel. The entire cave began shaking. Half an hour earlier, 2 teammates who had departed first had already reached the midway camp at 1,350 meters. Looking upward, they saw the flood surge pouring down the vertical shaft. They immediately sent warnings to the lower camps through the communication cable. Strangely, the 8 people in camp were not initially panicked. They had seen flood surges before. Usually they subsided within minutes, but after 2 hours, not only had the sound of water not weakened, it became even louder. Team leader Pavel took several people to check the water level. 5 minutes later, the flood water was visibly rising at terrifying speed. At that moment, the remaining members realized that if they did not leave immediately, everyone would die there. Robbie threw away photography equipment worth tens of thousands of dollars because they still had to climb long vertical ropes above them. Any extra weight could be fatal. He only kept the camera memory card containing the only footage ever captured from the bottom of Verovkina Cave. He sealed it inside a waterproof bag and hid it inside a latex container close to his body. Before leaving, Peter answered, "You guys go first. I'll wait for Pavel to come back."
Ever wonder why the sky looks like a giant tic-tac-toe board now? They mock people for asking questions, then admitted weather modification is real.
Cloud seeding is already happening. They spray particles into clouds to trigger rain, snow, and storm changes. It's not a conspiracy anymore.
And now scientists openly discuss spraying aerosols into the upper atmosphere to block sunlight from reaching the surface of Earth. Now, why would they want to do that?
People say they spray metals, aerosols, and other particles into the atmosphere during weather experiments. I'm sure that's safe. They call it weather control, climate control, sky management. Fancy words for changing the air over your head. So the question isn't, can they spray the atmosphere? They already admit that part. The real question is, how much are they actually doing? Next time you see those white lines spreading across the sky, remember they told you not to question any of it. You don't care though, right?
You're already infected.
I feel like the real question is, what are they spraying the airs with? You know what I'm saying? Not how much. Is what are they spraying the air with? And can it potentially kill us?
Tinfoil hat theory. Someone made a decision inside our government that the optics of killing dozens of scientists outweighed whatever information they were going to tell us. I think it's one of two things. Either an asteroid is heading towards Earth, and they know with certainty it's going to impact us sometime in the near future, and they just want everyone to keep working so society doesn't collapse until then. Or they know something about aliens that would absolutely shatter our perception of reality. Maybe we're an ant farm. Maybe we're a science experiment, and our government knows it. Or maybe the aliens are working inside our government. Either way, I think it's hard to make an argument against the fact that these scientists knew something that would absolutely fuck shit up.
I mean, definitely. We've seen the one about the lady that claimed that aliens are future humans. We've seen that one. But if I'm being honest, a theory that I heard was that like other countries are sending spies to eliminate the scientists. For example, they know that some scientists are working on something that could potentially take America to the next level to become more militarily powerful. Maybe like a spy from Russia, China, other countries that don't really like the US might come in to like eliminate their like workers, you know what I'm saying? Their top scientists, their top nuclear workers.
Something very dark about Mackenzie's relationship with her parents. The court found text messages between her and her father.
What? Will you make me warm milk? Just saw this. Do you still want? What the
Father very late at night asking for milk. And these texts occur like every single night for 2 years from 11 to 3 a.m. Almost all of them take place in the middle of the night, but there are a couple, like 1 or 2, that take place around 10 a.m. But you can literally see it here, January 4th, 2020 at 2 a.m. He doesn't see the text for a couple hours, and then he asks if she still wants milk, and she doesn't answer. I'm seeing people, and this is all alleged, think that milk is a code word for something, and it makes sense. We found out that she was on the phone with her mom, speaking in this code that turned out to be Carney. So what if there are other code words in this house that we don't know about? And the really scary part about that is, what do they mean? Now, I did hear that in Ohio, where she's from, it's very common to drink warm milk at night when you can't fall asleep. But then it's like, why can't you get your own milk? Why would you assume that your father is awake to then go and get you the milk? Why would he be up waiting to get you milk? I mean, maybe he really is just her bitch, but like, does he not sleep? And then another really weird, creepy thing about it is that she always tells him in these texts when he comes into her room to make sure he's quiet. But it's just milk. What is she hiding? She's never cared about her mom before, and you're telling me now she wants to make sure her mom gets a good night's sleep? Another thing, though, that could explain why it's so secretive is I have heard that when you're tripping, warm milk will calm you down. Now, I can't speak on this because I don't do any of that, but this is coming from a girl whose father gave her a bong at 14 years old and who openly in a Netflix documentary was like, yeah, I let my kid smoke weed. But she seems used to that substance, so like, was it something else? And that's why it was a secret? I do not know. I have more to say about this weird household though. Part 2 is already up. Also, hi, I'm Grace. Can I be your true crime girly?
I don't know if it's just me, but the milk thing kind of tripped me up because for those who don't know, Michael Jackson also called, I think it was called propofol, the anesthesia that he tried to use to fall asleep, he also used to call that milk. So in my head, I'm thinking like milk is probably a code word for something, but at the same time, maybe she just wanted to drink some milk. But it's like, if you wanted some more milk, why can't you go get it yourself? Like, why your dad gotta go get you the milk? And that is true that her and her mom got caught on a jail call speaking in like code. I'm gonna see if I can put it in.
Oh God.
Oh my God, is right. Yes. He's a we don't he's like she's rated she did. Like she didn't he did read.
Which one?
We don't like he's like either me we don't like we don't the kid off easy.
Oh great. Don't forget. You said, can I say it out? Can I say it in return just to make sure?
Oh, yeah.
I can talk. Ray, you're.
Yeah.
So don't forget that might not be what really happened. She's being accused of that. Right. Because don't forget, people say that all the time to get other people in trouble. Well, you see, that's happening to you.
Now, one of the nicest things about shopping by mail order.
What the hell?
Pardon me? What is this? Let me see what it says. All right. All right, well, let me read this. Folks, we have someone on the set who's standing here and would like me to read this copy which was just handed to me. You want to tell me your name or not? What is it? And Gary, where are you from? I was warned in 1981 by someone with connections at the CIA to stay off the computers, that they didn't trust people on computers. When I began receiving disturbing calls from my parents, which led me to believe that something terrible was going on, I was then forced into a mental hospital in Tallahassee, where I learned that my brother-in-law had been driven insane in the same manner that someone was trying to do to me.
I've heard about this incident before. I wonder why he did it though. I think they said that he did have like a psychotic break, like he was tripping out a little bit.
The fact that Key and Peele don't work together anymore is because of Key's wife. Now, Peele just made he made a movie about what? That was about 8 years ago or so. Get Out. That was about a white woman with a black guy. Key's wife is white, he's black. And essentially it is a psychological thriller to where the wife takes over his mind. Akilah absolutely, she worked with Key. She alludes to, oh, maybe that movie was actually about Key, because Key's career, he has done well for himself, but they're saying that he could be a lot further along, which makes sense because Peele, he's killing it. And his wife actually has inserted herself into Key's career. They're saying that she's killing deals. That's what Akilah said. Peele's wife called Akilah and said, hey, I wish I knew that you were actually working with her because I would have warned you sooner. She said, the fact that you're working with her, you're going to lose the deal. She cost Key millions of dollars.
She gives me witch vibes.
She does. She looks like a handler.
There's a lot of those in Hollywood.
So where you think that's your significant other, somebody's putting up to it. Say, hey, watch over this person.
Yeah, Chad, that's a very, very, very common thing that happen for successful males. You know what I'm saying? Usually as a male, you either have one or two options when it comes to female. You have a girl that brings you up, that makes you a better person. Then you have the other one that brings you down, that makes, hold you back in life.
A new AirTag alert warning that you should be aware of, especially around your parked vehicle. And why do I say that? Because an individual parked his vehicle outside of his friend's home overnight, and upon going into his vehicle, he received an alert on his iPhone that a new AirTag had been found. The one problem was he didn't install any new AirTags, and when he started to search for them, he couldn't believe where they were located. As a matter of fact, have a look at this video for yourself.
Let's do it.
Look at this. Check this out. It's like painter's tape they used to put the AirTag under the vehicle. Look at that right there. Yep, Apple AirTag. And then when he got in the vehicle, he put it in reverse. They blocked his backup camera. Watch this. Covered it with tape and added a secondary AirTag right underneath the roof rack of the vehicle. And as you can see from this as well, they actually put the same tape inside of the door latch. And why do they do all of this, do you ask? One of the main purposes is mostly vehicle theft. They use the AirTags to track the car back to the location it's at, where you live or where you work, and then pick the perfect time to either steal the vehicle or rob the vehicle. Secondary use is more scarier. They use this to track people, your location, your whereabouts, where you're going, and actually, they're using it for trafficking as well. And what you can do to help protect yourself? iPhone users enable alerts of unknown AirTags. Android users use Track Detect app. Also, visually inspect common hiding spots on your vehicle if you get an alert. And also be aware they're folding in the mirrors as well too. Why? Because it takes you time to get out of the vehicle and undo all that stuff and try to figure out why it's happening. And it also gives them enough time now, if they're going to do something to you right then and there, to do it while you're distracted. So if this happens to you, don't dismiss it as a prank or a joke. Take it seriously and alert the local authorities. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
I'm not gonna lie, chat. Putting an AirTag on someone's car is actually crazy. And not only is it crazy, it just doesn't like work if you have an iPhone. If you have an iPhone, your iPhone tells you if you're moving with an AirTag. You know what I'm saying? The notification will come up saying there's an active AirTag moving with you. So that wouldn't work. And secondly is, why put bright blue tape on a white car? Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he could have, anybody in their right mind could have easily saw that bright blue tape.
Okay, NASA just got exposed. 20 hours ago, they posted this image of the galaxy from April 7th, 2026. They say Artemis 2 took the picture. When you reverse image search it, it comes up that they already posted this image of the galaxy in 2008, okay, on multiple sources all over the place and originating from NASA. So you'd think if you were in space, you wouldn't need to use an image from, 15 frickin' years ago. You could just literally put your cell phone up to the window and take a new picture of the galaxy, or whatever GoPro fisheye lens they have going on. But do this yourself so you know this isn't, Grok's AI even confirms it, by the way. Wow. The truth is, this is the tip of the iceberg of the deception that we're up against today.
I went to the White House and I briefed George H.W. Bush, the president, while I was wearing a full face mask. And I'm telling him that I'm going to show him the best disguise that we have. And he's looking for a bag, like, where is it? I said, well, I'm wearing it and I'm going to take it off. So I took it off and I was holding it up in the air so he could see it. My whole head, it had hair and a face and a neck.
So you could walk around as someone else?
Absolutely.
And that would be the disguise?
Absolutely. That was a great disguise.
Wow. At least we know that's possible.
What you're currently looking at is all of the ticks that I pulled off of my body after a 2-hour hike.
Wow.
This is the infamous Amblyomma americanum, commonly referred to as the Lone Star tick. This particular species of blood-sucking arachnid are able to transmit a potentially life-threatening allergy to humans. Known as alpha-gal syndrome, an infected Lone Star tick can cause a person to develop a very serious allergic reaction to red meat, and in some rare cases, an allergy to dairy as well. Alpha-gal is a sugar molecule that is naturally produced within the bodies of most mammals. Us humans, however, aren't able to naturally produce it. When it comes to infected Lone Star ticks, this sugar molecule is stored within their salivary glands, which can then be transferred into the bloodstream through a bite. Since humans don't naturally produce this molecule, the body's immune system detects and labels it as a foreign agent. This then triggers the production of antibodies, which ultimately leads to developing an allergy to red meat, or alpha-gal syndrome. Adult female Lone Star ticks can easily be distinguished by the white dot located on their bodies. In case you were wondering, this is what an adult male Lone Star tick looks like. The males lack the white dot completely. Ticks will exhibit a behavior called questing, where they'll sit and wait on plants for an unsuspecting victim to walk by them. Equipped with a specialized chemoreceptive organ called the Howler's organ located on the tips of their first pair of legs, ticks are able to detect body odors, body heat, and even carbon dioxide given off from exhaling. It may be shocking to hear that all three stages, larvae, nymphal, and adult Lone Star ticks, have the capability to transmit alpha-gal syndrome. The attention on alpha-gal is usually placed on the females. However, male Lone Star ticks are equally capable of transmitting it as well. Despite everything you just heard, none of this is to scare you from continuing to be outside in nature. It's to bring awareness of a potential reality, one that many people suffer with today. Always remember to do a thorough check of your body when coming from outside. Be safe out there.
My first thought is like, I don't know how he was so brave enough to let all those ticks crawl on him. Like, he had like 4 or 5 ticks crawling on his leg and he was just like recording him like it's nothing. That's crazy.
I think I'm falling in love with the Chinese because when I observed this spacewalk, the Chinese spacewalk, all I saw was a beautiful flat plane. Now they probably forgot their fisheye lens back on Earth. But what's even weirder is in the Red Bull space jump, they definitely did not forget their fisheye lens. Because when you actually watch this video and observe it, I slowed it down for you, so I need you to pay very close attention to what happens to the shape of the Earth in this video. It is literally changing shapes. It goes from convex Earth to flat Earth to globe Earth, over and over and over again. Now, I don't remember learning in the science books that the Earth is consistently changing shapes and the amount of curvature that it has is changing while you're in free fall. That makes no sense at all. That makes no sense at all. If he was at 100,000 feet and the Earth is curved at 8 inches per mile squared, as he's jumping and falling, it would go from appearing more curved to less curved, right? Right? Because everyone in my videos is always talking about perspective. But you can't explain this one away with perspective. You're not even using that word right. Actually pay attention. The Earth is changing shape over and over because he is using a fisheye lens to hypothetically create artificial curvature. The Earth even appears convex as he is like pretty close to the surface of the Earth. He opens up the parachute and he lands. Use your mind. I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only.
Bro has no idea how camera lenses work and angling works, but it's okay. Go to war over land?
The numbers are in, people, man, with the casualties and the injuries between those two tribes that went at it in Colombia, the indigenous tribes, man, that were fighting with sticks and shields in 2026, as people record from a distance in their iPhones, as they watch and disbelieve that these people are still fighting like this in 2026, man. Violent clashes between the Misak and Nasa indigenous communities over ancestral land dispute in Sylvia, Colombia, left at least 7 people dead and over 100 injured. In response to the escalating violence, Colombian authorities deployed more than 500 soldiers and air support to restore order and establish security. You cannot make this stuff up, man. And for all the people, man, that are getting mad at the broski, saying, broski, Spain did nothing for the indigenous people but killed them. They didn't bring civilization to them. Bro, there are still people in 2026 that are living just as they did before the Spaniards came over, bro. I don't know about y'all, man. If y'all love their way of living so much, go live with them. Because in 200 years, bro, we will be recording in iPhone 1500s, bro. And y'all gonna be fighting with sticks and shields in a battlefield like that. Like, oh my God, bro, they still haven't progressed. That shit is crazy.
I mean, he is not lying, though. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's like probably around 50,000 people on the planet. Maybe even more. Probably even more, that has never touched a phone, that has never used the internet, that's never went on the interwebs, that's never drove a car, that's never rode a bike, that's never even used a pencil before. Isn't that crazy?
Imagine you're in a relationship that's so bad that your entire country is rooting for your partner to go to prison.
Wow.
So that's what happens to this woman. Her name's Burfin. And Burfin's around 18 when the story starts, and she's living in Turkey. And Burfin, she has a problem. Problem is her boyfriend is terrible. His name is Kasim. And Kasim cheats on Burfin more than once, and she catches him.
Wow.
He's also super controlling, and he demands to know where she's going all the time, and he tells her where she can and can't go. But despite this, Burfin forgives him again and again and again. Because she always thinks to herself, I can fix him. And when she introduces Kasim to her parents, they instantly hate him. And Burfin's mom even warns her, there's just something about this guy I don't like. And so one day in 2019, the situation gets even worse. Because Burfin and Kasim meet up somewhere with a group of friends, and when Burfin walks in, Kasim is super pissed off. He's mad about what she's wearing. So in front of everyone, he's like, how dare you show up looking like that? And pow, he slaps her across the face. And Burfin leaves crying.
What?
Later, Qasim tries to patch things up and he texts her, I'm sorry, I won't ever do it to you again, I love you. But Burfin decides enough is enough. She says, how many more times can I forgive you? I can't do this anymore, it's over. And she finally breaks up with him. And this pisses Qasim off. He texts her back, you're gonna pay for this, I won't let you live. And so Burfin blocks him. Fuck him. But Qasim, he isn't gonna let this slide. He decides that if he can't have her, no one can. And he comes up with a seriously evil plan. Meanwhile, Burfin, she goes on living her life. Like, I'm sure she's upset about the breakup, but she knows she'll get over it, with time. But then, one day, she's walking home from school, and Qasim is nearby, and he's stalking her. He's been secretly following her and watching her. Then, suddenly, he comes out of hiding, and he runs up to her, and boom, he pours a liquid on her face. And poor Burfin has no idea what's happening, but her face starts burning. Her skin, her eyes, they feel like they're on fire. And she falls over in pain, because Qasim just attacked her with acid. Then he runs away, and he leaves her there in the street. Luckily, Burfin's aunt is inside her house, and she can hear her screaming outside. So she gets her, and she drives her to the hospital. Later, Burfin's parents arrive at the hospital, and there, the doctor breaks the news to them. She's gonna be disfigured and disabled for life. She lost one eye completely, and she can barely see out of the other.
Wow.
And since there's no question about who did this, bam, Qasim is arrested, and he's thrown in jail. But the story isn't over. When news gets out about Burfin's acid attack, it blows the fuck up, and it becomes massive national headlines in Turkey. And people on social media start to rally behind her, and they launch a campaign to raise money for her, and the Ministry of Health steps in to cover the specialized surgeries she needs at private hospitals. So Burfin undergoes dozens of surgeries to reconstruct her face, with her parents stepping in, taking care of her, and helping her recover. When she recovers from those surgeries, she starts wearing her hair in a way that covers her most damaged eye to avoid people, staring at her in public. But even after that very traumatic experience, Burfin decides she's not gonna go out quietly. And she goes on to tell her story, and she does lots of media and public interviews talking about what happened to her, and suddenly, she's kind of famous in Turkey. She becomes a national symbol and an advocate for ending violence against women. And a women's advocacy group gets legal representation for her, and soon she has a team of lawyers to fight in court on her behalf, hoping to aggressively push the court for the maximum possible charge against Qasim. And Burfin's parents start working with these lawyers too, because they really want Qasim to get punished for what he did. So it seems like the entire country is behind Burfin. But then Qasim goes to trial. And he's found guilty, and he's up for his sentencing, and everyone is watching, expecting the judges to give him life in prison for attempted murder. But Qasim is only sentenced to 13.5 years in prison. And the public is super outraged by this. I mean, they feel like it isn't enough. I mean, he ruined this woman's life, and all he got was 13.5 years? Even the president of Turkey makes a public statement and criticizes the ruling for being far too light. And of course, Burfin is devastated by the ruling too, and she's interviewed by reporters, and she asks the court, is that all my suffering is worth to you? 13 years? But what's done is done. Qasim's sentence is what it is. Here's what's really crazy though. While sitting in prison, Qasim still thinks that he can win Burfin back.
Wow.
So he starts writing her love letters from lockup. He writes and he says how sorry he is and how he'd never do it again because he's changed, and he tells her that he still loves her and he wants to be with her. And Burfin's reading these letters like, yeah, right, he's just trying to manipulate me. But for months, these letters keep coming and coming. And eventually, for some reason, she starts writing him back. So they're writing back and forth a bit to one another, and over time, she starts thinking to herself, I can fix him. So she writes a formal letter to the court saying, Qasim and I have written many letters to each other. I have given myself to him. I love him very much. And she officially withdraws her complaint against him. And when the public finds out about what she did, it's like a bomb goes off. All those people online who donated to her, who supported her, who looked up to her, the women's advocacy groups, her own lawyers who spent a year fighting for her to get justice in court, her parents who watched her suffer, took care of her throughout all her surgeries, supported her through everything. All of them feel betrayed. How could she do this to them? How could she do this to herself? But then it gets even worse. In 2020, after the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Turkey changes its prison laws in an effort to reduce overcrowding in prisons and, reduce COVID transmission in there. And this new law means that after only serving just 2 years, Qasim is now free to go. And so by 2021, he gets out and he immediately meets up with Burfin and he gets down on one knee and he proposes to her. And she says yes. And then she marries the man who disfigured her and tried to kill her. And they do this without telling anyone. Like, even her parents have no idea that this happened. And their marriage quickly becomes national news in Turkey. And one day, her father is on social media, and bam, he sees his daughter marrying the man who caused his family so much suffering. She's just made him his son-in-law. And this is how he finds out, on social media, just like everyone else. And of course, he's all devastated, and reporters reach out to him for comment, and now he's on the news, and he says, I cannot accept this man as my son-in-law. I spent years fighting for my daughter to get justice, and now it's all been in vain. And so Burfin ends up marrying her attacker, and ultimately she becomes estranged from her parents and from everyone who tried to help her.
Yeah, it's a typical story with the toxic ex and the obsessed girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? The ex could be the most terrible guy in the world. Literally proof right here, he literally threw acid at her face to, lower her value, make sure she's not with anyone else, to kind of just ruin her life, which did the opposite effect, which was kind of ironic. It actually improved her life in a way was never imagined. It actually made her more famous, more popular, more rich. Just for her to go back to the guy that literally ruined her life. Isn't that freaking crazy? That's like the typical toxic ex love story.
Brazil just made an absolute boss move in UFO transparency and dropped the receipts on nearly 900 UFO cases. This is huge. So on May 31st, Brazil's National Archives released 893 UFO cases, to be exact, to the public. And we're talking about sightings from 1952 all the way up to 2023, complete with photos, audio recordings, witness drawings, detailed official reports. The files were originally set to drop on June 13th, but they went live early with no warning. And there's some seriously amazing stuff inside. So I've only cracked into it just a touch, and already it's mind-blowing. Yeah. It talks about cases like the 1977 Colares incident, where locals were reportedly injured by beams of light coming from low-flying UFOs. It was so intense that the Brazilian military launched Operação Prato, Operation Saucer, to investigate. There's also the 1986 Night of the UFOs, where 21 objects were spotted across southern Brazil, tracked on radar and chased by Air Force jets. So if you want to check it out yourself, there's a website you can go to. I'll list it right here. You'll need to register, but the docs are public. A lot of it's in Portuguese, but you can get it translated. Brazil just raised the bar. It's your move, Pentagon. Follow for more, because I'm going to be cracking into this.
Sure, how many people have noticed this, but I've been noticing that on Instagram feed pe, you are seeing so many reels around conspiracy theories and where the government is going wrong or secret files are being leaked. All of this is being allowed to be viewed. I started wondering about this because जिन लोगों के ऊपर conspiracy theories या जिन लोगों के ऊपर actual facts अब reveal हो रहे हैं, they have enough power to ensure कि these things don't come out in public. So how is this suddenly happening? Why is this being allowed to happen? पूरा mechanism समझिए. उनकी first move है that they will feed you with a lot of negativity. They will stress you out. बहुत ज़्यादा आपको बताएंगे कि हाँ, you know, Epstein files में ये हुआ, इसने गलत किया. लेकिन no action will be taken. हमें बस information overload कर दिया जाएगा. MIT.
No idea what she's saying, bro. But I'm pretty sure she's also saying, I have no idea what she's saying, but I'm pretty sure she's saying that they're just allowing us to see these files, and it's pretty weird that they're just allowing it to happen, because we all know that whenever they don't want something to go public, they do everything in life, everything possible to hide it. If something gets leaked that's not supposed to be leaked, they'll do everything in their potential power to hide it. So the fact that we're getting all these info, we're getting all these drops on people, means that they're just allowing it to be seen.